we know. That has been a common phrase on this show in the first couple of weeks of football season, because football season hasn't gone like some of us or all of us thought it might, especially for our teams here locally. Diesel, we did this just last week with college football, and now we do the same exact thing in the National Football League. Now that we know what we know, how have our thoughts changed on the Panthers? How have our thoughts changed on NFL division winners? And how have our thoughts changed on who's going to take home the Lombardi Trophy? And no, it's not going to be my Dallas Cowboys. Welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson on a Tolo Thursday. Diesel's Friday.
It's September and you're already out on your team.
Oh, done. We're done. It's absolutely stick a fork in them. Tolos want to hear from you as well. Let's really spark up the NFL conversation. We're going to get to upset picks. We're going to get to college football. We've got Jordan Kaye coming up in the next segment. Diesel's got his Carolina's top 10 coming up at 4 o'clock. I react and tell him where I think he's wrong and right. We've got Jeff Piecoro, the color analyst for Kentucky, coming up at 4:20 on the show today. Tolo takeover at 5 o'clock. The phone lines will be open then. And then Clay Hendrix tonight, 6:22, a jam-packed show. And it's your Friday. I'm going to be really upset, Diesel. I'm not going to – no, do that fist-pumping stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. I'm going to be so upset.
Well,
I'm stuck with the Tolos.
The reason I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight is because we just saw a video of Matt Berry trying to catch, I don't know, tater tots in his mouth from East Carolina students. It looked like he was down on field level, and ECU students who might have been up in the first or second row of the stands, who East Carolina plays tonight, by the way, we're tossing him tater tots. Meanwhile, there's two very easy on the eyes ladies standing next to him. Like, Matt, nobody wants to see you doing that.
He's got a hard job, doesn't he? Yeah, I mean, that's a really difficult job to
go
do.
Hang out with co-eds and eat tater tots all over. I I mean, he's got to go to some pretty lackluster games because it's Thursday night college football.
But still.
I mean, come on. There are worse places to be than Greenville, North Carolina, the cirrhosis of the liver capital of the Carolinas, on a Thursday night than that.
No doubt about it. Tolos NFL fans want to hear from you. 844-326-3663. Also on the stream for those 34 already logged on and watching on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Zach's already starting the conversation with the NFL talk, Diesel. But when you look at the division standings, the Buffalo Bills are 3-0. Bengals are 2-1. Steelers are 2-1. The Colts are 3-0 somehow. Talking about knowing what we know. Chargers 3-0. Eagles 3-0. Packers 2-1. Vikings 2-1. Tampa Bay 3-0. And San Francisco 3-0. The question is, and Tolos, if you just tuned into the show, here's where we're going. The question is, now that we know what we know, how have our thoughts changed on the NFL season? And let's start, Diesel, with the Carolina Panthers, who have gotten a win, which is good news, right?
Yeah.
They're not winless. It could be worse.
Yeah.
But let's start with old Bryce Young.
Hey, guys, Bryce Young.
I knew you were going to do it.
And
That's why I said it like that.
I told you I'm a big boy.
That's why I said it like that. I knew you were going to do that. Tiger Stripes Media already talking about his 49ers. But let's start right here locally. Carolina, now that we know what we know, Diesel, they're 1-2 on the season. Panther fans want to hear from you as well.
You know what they also are?
Yeah.
Tied for the lead in the division.
Think about that. What do you mean? Don't say that out loud, because you might have just canceled the entire season of the Carolina Panthers.
We're going to be number one. I promise.
Diesel, they lost in Jacksonville, 26-10 to open the season. They lost the next week, 27-22, a good fourth quarter at Arizona. Last Sunday, they blank the Atlanta Falcons 30-0. Through 3 games. Now that we know what we know, how have your Panther fan, Diesel, thoughts changed about this football team?
They're going to be worse than I thought.
Oh, my gosh. That's not what I wanted to hear.
They won, 5 games last year? I think I predicted they might up it to 7 by this year. Look, I had no I had no preconceived notions or no illusions or delusions that Carolina was going to go make the playoffs, win the division, push for a championship. No, that's not going to happen. This team, even if as constructed they get better, they're still 2 years away from getting to that point and being a legitimate playoff caliber team. But they looked really awful in one game. They looked really good in another game, and they looked half and half in the third. You know, our boss says it to us all the time whenever our ratings come in. He's like, you're never as good as your best ratings book. You're never as bad as your worst ratings book. You're somewhere in the middle. And I think the Carolina Panthers really are at that somewhere in the middle point. It's every week is an experiment. Every week is a wait and see for me. You know, I'm a certified Bryce Young hater, and as soon as he throws that first pick, I told you they should have benched him. I told you
so.
I told you that they should tank to go get somebody else this year.
Bryce Young, by the way, is 603 yards on the season. JB, plate that question. I want to get back to that question when we get done talking about the Panthers. It's a great, great question that JB just asked on the YouTube stream about the Chiefs and the Ravens, and I am so glad you asked that because that's a huge part of our conversation right now, but we'll get to that. Before we get to that, he says Panthers still go 6-11, which would be a 1-win improvement, Diesel, from a season ago.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow, 1 win.
Chuba Hubbard, by the way, 168 yards. Tet McMillan, 216 yards. Trayvon Moehrig leads the team with 26 tackles on the season. Here's the deal. I think now that we know what we know, Carolina's too inconsistent. You kind of hinted at it a minute ago. They played good one game, didn't play great against Jacksonville. Diesel, the fourth quarter against Arizona, they played really good. And then Sunday, they blanked the Falcons. I think we all look at this team and say, okay, there's some upside. But as a organization, where do the inconsistencies begin? Does that start at quarterback? Does it start with Dave Canales? Somewhere, somehow, some way, there's just been far too many inconsistencies, Diesel.
Well, it starts at offensive line. I mean, how many combinations have they already trotted out onto the field? How many sacks do they give up? How many times do they put together a good blocking scheme to get Chuba Hubbard out? Not very often, and that's the problem. We also, Cole, now we're looking at a newly revamped offensive line after – 2 key pieces, Austin Corbett, the center, and I'm blanking on Hunt. Is it not Kareem?
Not Kareem,
Hunt,
but I know
Hunt
you're talking about.
He's out. So you've got replacements. You got backups in there playing better than the guys that you're paying a lot of money to do the job.
It's a good movie, by the way. Let's see. Texter says the Panthers are tied for second. Tampa Bay's clearly first. That comes from the 803.
I get what you're saying, Texter. In the division, they're both 1-0. That's what I meant. They're both 1-0 in the division.
They are. Oh, by the way, the Upset Picks Challenge is open.
Yes, it is.
Let's roll. We've got, look, already a couple of Diesel on
Tolo
the text
Phil,
line.
Z Breeze. Awesome.
Let's go.
You guys keep getting your picks to us. Don't wait.
Let's go. Keep them up. 844-326-3663. Just because we're talking NFL doesn't mean you can't get your Upset Picks in. Again, 844-326-3663. T Swizzle just got his in, Diesel. Well, good to see you, T Swizzle, getting your upset pick in. Good luck to you on that 16 and a half point spread. But going back to your point, you're right. It all does start up front, the offensive line. I don't know if you just call it bad luck, Diesel, or some unfortunate offensive line injuries that have kind of held the Carolina Panthers back the past couple of years, right? You've got this new quarterback. Well, I don't know. Can we call Bryce Young new? No, I don't think so. You've got this quarterback in Bryce Young, Diesel, who's trying to progress and develop as a quarterback. But in the NFL, I just don't think there's enough conversation had, Diesel, about what's around them. And yeah, does Bryce Young have some things to work on and areas to get better? Yeah. But there's not enough made in my mind, and I'm not taking up for Bryce here, but the offensive line, the run game, the receivers. Diesel, right now, I don't look at this run game as a competent run game. Chuba Hubbard, 3 games, 168 yards. He's averaging 56 yards a game. And it's just not getting it done.
You know what this does set up, though?
What's that?
It sets up the very clear need for a power running back in the draft next year. So depending on where the Carolina Panthers landed at 6 wins, they'll probably be in that 10 to 12 range, maybe 8 at best. Now you're talking about a team that's maybe there's a run on quarterbacks and you can go get the first or second best running back in this draft.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And you know what? Who knows? Because you and I and everybody else last year thought Panthers were going defense first round, right? Defense, and they go get Ted McMillan.
Yeah, which was a great plan.
It was a good plan. And we think they're going to go get running back this year. They'll go get defense. They'll go get an edge rusher, right? So ultimately, now that we know what we know, Diesel, my thoughts, you said you think they've gotten worse or are going to be worse than you originally thought. My thoughts hadn't drastically changed on the Panthers. I'll say this. I hadn't been as ecstatic about Bryce as I thought I would be. Just barely over a 60% completion percentage right now, Diesel, through 3 games, 69 of 114, 603 yards. He's averaging like 200 a game, 4 touchdowns. I don't love the way he's taking care of the football. 3 interceptions so far, too. I think that's a little bit of a problem.
But another good piece of news is now we know we're going to have year 3. We're going to have 3 seasons worth of data on Bryce Young.
True.
And it clearly could put into Dan Morgan's purview. Okay, what do we think about Bryce really? Are we thinking about moving on from Bryce? Are we thinking, they're not going to make him the backup, so they would have to trade him, package him, and maybe move up in the draft to go get somebody else, in which case, man, now you're back in the experiment of a rookie quarterback, which is not an enviable place to be either. So can you build enough around Bryce? And maybe that's still a year early, right, to move on from Bryce. You say, hey, let's go get him a really good running back. Let's go get him a really good offensive line piece, something like that, and give him one more year to run it back and see what happens.
But I'll tell you this, Diesel, this might be a little bit of a hot take, but here's my thoughts on Bryce right now. Right now he's average. Mm-hmm. And my hot take is this is the worst thing for the Panthers, meaning they would rather him suck or be really good because when you're evaluating a quarterback, right now they have an average quarterback. Like, I'm sorry if you think Bryce Young's better. He's just barely 60% completion rating. 4 touchdowns, 3 picks, 5 sacks, quarterback rating of 75.3, 200 yards a game. He's an average quarterback right now. The worst thing in the world is for him to be average. My hot take is the Panthers, Dan Morgan, would rather him suck because then if he's average, Diesel, what happens if he's average all year?
Then you end up in that 12, 15, 16 range in the draft.
And you don't know.
You're not going to get an elite player.
And you don't know what to make of him.
I know. Tank for Lenoris. Tank for Lenoris Sellers. I mean, look at who's out there. I mean, it's going to be Carson Beck. It's going to be Lenoris Sellers, who God, it still drives me nuts that game 4 in the season, or three or 4 in the season, you got the announcers on the broadcast saying, everybody's talking about this guy's going to be the number 1 draft pick. And then he lays an egg basically at Missouri. Come on, guys.
Could they get Mike Shula back as well? Gamecock fans might give him Lenoris and Mike Shula if this season keeps going as bad as it is, Diesel.
Sports Talk on the Fan Upstate is presented by Paramount Plus. Sylvester Stallone is back in the original hit series Tulsa King, which I started watching, by the way. This season, Dwight faces his most dangerous adversaries yet, spoilers, forcing him to fight for everything he's built and to protect his empire. Watch the new season of Tulsa King, now streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus.
I've already started season 3. It's 1 episode at a time, which drives me crazy. Because Tulsa King, the first 2 seasons, probably was like my top 3 best ever. It's just so good.
Really?
It's so good. I love it. It gets better and better in season 2. And I think Sunday, the 2nd episode comes out.
I've got through episode 3 so far. You know, I'm trying to chip away 2-3 episodes a night if I can. It's really good. I generally don't love a lot of network TV shows because it's network. You can't get bloody and gory and explosive like you can on cable.
And you've got one of the best actors ever as the main character.
Sly is great.
Maybe one of the best.
Do you think it was in his contract that he has to punch somebody in every episode? Because I'm pretty sure he
It gets
has
better.
so far.
It gets better. I'm telling you, it gets so much better. So now let's get to this question. JB brought this up. Let's look outside of Charlotte. This is so fascinating, Diesel. I'm going to throw it on the screen for those of you watching on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, the 52 watching. JB asked the question, and this is a good one. He says, do you guys agree the loser of Chiefs-Ravens this weekend will be eliminated from Super Bowl contention? The loser is 1-3. And Diesel, now that we know what we know, who would have thought we'd be having the conversation that this weekend at 4:25 when the Ravens go to Kansas City, the loser of that game is going to be 1-3? I think so. I mean, how do you win a Super Bowl at 1-3 start? Like, that just doesn't happen.
But are you willing to say that a Lamar Jackson-led team is eliminated? I mean, he eliminates himself once they get into the playoffs because Lamar doesn't show up for playoff games. But with Patrick Mahomes, are you telling me they can't go on a run?
I'm not going to tell you that. I think my issue with Baltimore, Diesel, thus far is their run game just hasn't been productive. Derrick Henry's not running the football, number one, enough.
Trade him to Carolina.
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice. They're not running the football enough, and he's not being as efficient as I think they need to be. So you have Todd Monken calling plays. You've got Lamar Jackson. You've got Zay Flowers. You've got Derrick Henry. Here's what Cole's mind doesn't understand. I do not understand how you can have all of that talent. Maybe the best quarterback in the NFL. Maybe the best running back in the NFL. And Zay Flowers. And you're potentially facing 1-3 to start. That's embarrassing.
It's like a new verse to an Alanis Morissette song.
I know.
Isn't it ironic?
And the fact that
think?
one of these teams, Diesel, is going to be 1-3, the only team in NFL Super Bowl era history to start 1-3 and go on to win the Super Bowl was the 2001 New England Patriots. That's it. One team. So to answer JB's question, no. The loser's done. Could they go on a little bit of a run and maybe get into the – maybe so. But I think the loser of this game, to his point, now that we know what we know, Diesel, my biggest takeaway is these two teams, the Ravens and Chiefs, one of them is going to be 2-2, one of them is going to be 1-3. I didn't see this coming. I could have seen the Chiefs kind of struggling to start with an aging Kelsey who thought it was a good idea to come back and play football. I just didn't see this for Baltimore. I think this, Diesel, what we're going to watch on Sunday at 4:25 is the NFL game that has had more stipulations in the history of Super Bowl era this early in the season that we've ever seen. I just don't think we've ever seen a game this early in the season with this big of stipulations.
Well, I don't know that we've ever seen a game with two teams that are on paper this bad, and I get it's on paper, 1-2 only, given what they have as far as personnel, that it's going to have this much intrigue. Normally, when it's 1-2 teams going head-to-head, nobody cares. They stick it in the 1 p.m. slot. Nobody watches.
Yep.
So
you're right.
When we come back, Cole, it's time to talk South Carolina Gamecocks with Jordan Kaye of the State newspaper. We talk to Jordan every other week. Can't wait to hear from him, what he has to say, and how the team is developing, shaping up, heading into the Kentucky game. That's next. Well, South Carolina continues SEC play this weekend with a home game against the Kentucky Wildcats. To break it down, talk all things South Carolina Gamecocks, we bring on Jordan Kaye of the State newspaper in the States segment. Jordan, before we start getting into the real stuff, did you have Shane Beamer buttering up Mark Stoops and Mark Stoops buttering up South Carolina's fan base on your bingo card for this season?
No, that was the most bizarre thing. I was listening to him like gush over Mark Stoops, and I'm just like, does he do this every year? This is weird.
It did feel weird.
No, I was not expecting that one.
Hey, Jordan, man, I tell you what, this is where my mind's been all week after what I saw Saturday. And you cover this team in depth. You talk to the coaches and players in depth. And I love football. I love learning about football. And one of my biggest challenges is when I can't figure something out. I guess that maybe is a man characteristic, right? We struggle with not being able to find the answer to something when we can't. This run game, I don't know if Shane Beamer and Lonnie Teasley and all the staff and Mike Shula and company have all of a sudden found a miracle answer this week when they've been practicing and watching film. But in your mind, in your opinion, from what you've seen, what you've heard, and what you've covered, where does the fix come? Or in your mind, is it as simple as maybe the pieces aren't going to fall this season for this run game to be productive like the Gamecocks needed to be?
You know, I think they have the pieces to have an average run game, but, you know, what we've seen has been a dreadful run game. And I'm with you, man. I watch it and watch it and watch it. Try and talk to people, and it's like it's just so confusing because you're like, how can it possibly be that bad? And then you and I think the answer is just like everything that can go wrong goes wrong. It's, hey, you've had a lot of injuries on the offensive line. Like, these guys are obviously having trouble, you know, in the communication aspect, and we hear so many times with the offensive line, hey, it's got to be 5 guys playing at once. That clearly is not happening. The other thing is, hey, South Carolina has tight ends that it brings in to help block in the run game. The problem is the tight ends have been some of the poorest run blockers on this team. If you want to go by the Pro Football Focus metrics and even, you know, the eye test on a couple plays, it's pretty easy to tell. And so that doesn't help either. You're trying to give extra assistance, not working. Okay, so you can't block. So you're going to have to miss tackles. Well, South Carolina's running backs missed one or broke out of one tackle against the Missouri team. Okay, so you're running inside the tackles with, you know, guys who are struggling to block, and then the running backs can't break tackles. And it's just, you know, so many times it's like they run right into a pile and go down. And I think the best I've seen the running backs look this season is when they're throwing little dump passes and have room to run in space. And that's kind of where you can see the speed and agility of Oscar Adaway and Rasul Faison. But when they're taking handoffs, you're just not seeing it.
Jordan, we know that the fan base is already frustrated with Mike Shula, and they, you know, a lot of people are already using that F word when it comes to Mike Shula. I'll let you decide which one I'm talking about there. But where is Shane Beamer in his level of frustration with Mike Shula? Is it possible that this ends up being just a 1-year experiment with Mike?
I mean, I guess that's probably on the table. I mean, if it keeps trending this way, you know, after a season, I think Shane is a guy who's going to look at everything. But I think we're kind of a long way from that right now. You watch that Missouri game, and you can get on Mike Shula for some things, but like, I honestly don't think it was that bad. Like, there are games certainly where you can be like, hey, offensive coordinator just doesn't have it. Like, I didn't think that was the case. You know, I think there were people getting on him about throwing the ball on 1st and goal from the 2. I didn't mind it. I was like, that's a pretty common play. You see NFL teams do it all the time. Sometimes, and you know, defenses just expect you to run there. They go heavy in the run, and you can kind of just throw it up to a tight end. That's a very it shouldn't have been that big of a deal. If Sellers just throws the ball away, it's 2nd and 2 from the 2. Not a big deal. I thought he tried to be creative sometimes with, you know, some end arounds, getting guys open in space, but a lot of times, you know, he's not the one taking these sacks. You know, he has to, I guess you can say, he's got to coach his quarterback better in Lenore Sellers to throw the ball away, but he also didn't plan for 2 offensive linemen to go down. You could say there should have been some different things or different ways to run the ball, but I thought a good amount of it was just a failure to execute.
Jordan, let me ask this, man. We hear coaches all the time talk about run game and the lack of run game on South Carolina's part that you just touched on. In your mind, kind of getting away from the offensive line and the running backs, how much of the run game by the quarterback, by QB1 Lenore Sellers, have you been impressed with? And do you feel like that what he can do in the run game adds or takes away from what other players, specifically running backs, can do for this team?
It's weird because you watch Lenore and I can't get the Clemson game from last year out of my head. And I think this happens sometimes to players. Like you see their one great moment. It's like, well, It could be that. And that's when I think Lenore Sellers' legs, it's like, I just keep thinking about that. I got to always kind of remind myself, okay, defenses are playing him very different. Missouri had 2 spies on him, makes it pretty tough to get outside the pocket. And there were a couple times he had designed runs, very few, but, one of them, it seemed like they were right on him from the jump. The other, I think he got like 6 yards or something like that. What's been odd to me is not necessarily the designed runs. It's that we haven't seen him scramble well at all. And that was the thing in the Clemson game, the 3rd and 16. It wasn't a designed run. I mean, that was a scramble. That was Lenore Sellers being an athlete, getting out of a sack and then making things happen in the middle of the field. And we just haven't seen that. We haven't seen him get out of those sacks. How many times have you said to yourself this season, man, that's a Houdini play? That was happening 3 times a game last year. Yeah. So that's kind of the thing that's a little been odd, and I can't necessarily kind of put my finger on it because, I don't really think that's a coaching thing. Perhaps, they're not telling him not to run. Perhaps there's an emphasis on wanting him to, stay in the pocket and deliver passes. And, maybe that's in his head of, hey, I've got to, deliver a pass, from the pocket here. But we're just not seeing him break out of those sacks and getting to see kind of the scramble yardage. You've also got to give some credit to the defenses. I thought Missouri played him really well, and same thing with Vanderbilt.
Talking to Jordan Kaye of the State newspaper, as we do every other week here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. You said it there. Defenses are spying Lenore's. They're double teaming Dylan Stewart, not letting him get to the quarterback. And, I've seen pretty tight coverage on Nick Harbor as well. His numbers just aren't all that through 4 games so far. So a 2-part question here for you, Jordan. Number one, any plan to get Nick Harbor kind of cooking this weekend against Kentucky? And number 2, if he's a guy who's got aspirations to go into the NFL after this season, are there things that he's doing off the ball that you're seeing that he's doing really well that scouts will like about him?
I mean, I do think Nick Harbor is a very active blocker. You watch tape and that guy does not take blocks off. So if you're watching him away from the ball, I think that is really impressive. And honestly, that deep ball to him in the Virginia Tech game, I think got defensive coordinators being like, what coverage were they running? Why did they not have safety help against Nick Harbor? And I think it was probably, any defensive coordinator can now show that to their guys. Hey, we are not doing this. We're going to make sure we're not letting Nick Harbor run past us. And if he's going to get involved, it's got to kind of be in the intermediate passing game when he can kind of cut inside or run it, 15, 18-yard out routes, kind of like that Vanderbilt game when they had the 3rd and 37 or whatever, and he kind of runs with Lenore to the left and catches the ball on the sideline. That stuff is where I think Nick Harbor needs to kind of get more involved with. As far as the draft, I hadn't thought of him coming out this year at all. I suppose it's possible. But if he doesn't have 800 yards, 600 to 800 yards receiving, I would think NFL teams would be, I don't know that they'd be jumping at him. I feel like he's the guy who could probably, is still developing at receiver. So yeah, I hadn't even thought of that.
Jordan, in a good old horror movie, we all know the scene where somebody's about to open the closet door, right? And there's somebody back in the hallway yelling, "Don't open the door! Don't open the door! Don't open the door!" That's kind of what it feels like right now with South Carolina's schedule and what's to come. After the Kentucky game, you have the bye, but then you have LSU, Oklahoma, Bama, Ole Miss, A&M. Do you feel like this game at home Saturday night for Shane Beamer is maybe one of the biggest in his career, just in the sense as if you don't get this win on Saturday, things could go really south in 2025?
Yeah. I do. I kind of said even the Missouri game was about as close to a can't lose as you're going to find in September. This beats it because, you really cannot lose this one at home to a bad Kentucky team. And like you're saying, there's that 5-game horror movie coming up. Like you got your bye week, and then it's, South Carolina's not going to be favored in any of those games. Like no way. Maybe if Mateer's not back against Oklahoma, but even then, that Sooners defense is so good. So they're not going to be favored in any of those games. I would say they might be favored in the Clemson game. They're going to be favored against Coastal. So it's like right now, if you're Vegas, you're probably saying they're going to win 3 games. Okay, well, that's only 5 wins. So that's not bowl eligibility. Then if you're saying, hey, we want, 8 wins would be, a solid season. Okay, what 3 are you beating of LSU, Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, or whatever? It can get really scary really quick. But at least if you beat Kentucky, you kind of get a little momentum into the bye week. You're on at least a win streak. You have a winning record heading into the bye week. You can kind of tell yourself, hey, we can fix these problems. All our goals theoretically are in front of us. We could still win 10 games if we beat these teams, like we're probably going to be, in the playoff. Like you can tell yourself all these things. So that's at least a encouraging spot to be. You lose to Kentucky, you're 2-3 heading into the bye week with 5 brutal games coming up, and that's a tough spot to be.
Jordan, you wrote a great piece, put it up yesterday about Shane Beamer's comments about Missouri's linebacker Josiah Trotter. Can you go into that article and just how weird it was for Shane to bring up money?
Yeah, I think as anyone, I am interested in the money part of college football. Like I wish we had, a little more transparency from these schools about how much guys are getting paid. And Shane Beamer has kind of shown over his career, like he does not love to talk about that stuff. Like he doesn't like talking about like the NIL or the rev share necessarily. Like he doesn't want it to come off as if like anyone is going to South Carolina for money. He wants it to be like, no, they're coming here for everything else. And I think in a way he just doesn't want to talk about the money part. And then he brings up on a random teleconference, like totally unprompted, like, well, that Missouri linebacker got paid a lot of money to go there and he was really good. And I was like, that was weird. And so so I asked him like, hey, why, that was odd. Like where did that come from? And he was kind of saying, well, we tried to recruit him and he's a really good player and blah, blah, blah. But he was also saying like, hey, I'm involved in all of our player personnel decisions, all of the allocation of our money and stuff like that. But it is interesting. Like I have to imagine he's thinking about, hey, did I build this roster correctly in the revenue sharing era? Would I have done anything differently to maybe go get a better running back out of the portal, or to have the money to go get a Trotter in the transfer portal? And so I kind of have a feeling that comment came because he was thinking about those things and thinking about money and how to allocate for the future. But it was just interesting kind of the timing of it and how rarely he talks about that stuff.
Jordan, do you think he is at all speaking to his collectives in that sense?
I was wondering about that, and perhaps he was, but I think it's so different now with the revenue sharing, where he can't really be speaking to the collectives. He could maybe be speaking to like the businesses and stuff,
Sure.
But so I don't think so. I think if he was trying to do that, there would have been a far more direct way of doing it. And probably would have done it during like a Tuesday press conference when
Gotcha.
he's being filmed and watched. So I thought about that too, but I don't think that's what it was.
Jordan, we played some audio from Shane Beamer's press conference on the show yesterday, and he talked about his process of trying to clean up the penalties and having film study sessions with his players. And he said, well, maybe that's not really working for us anymore. Have you gotten anything else on maybe what that actually looks like for how to clean up some of those penalty issues? What was it, 98 penalty yards last week?
No, I don't really know what that – I heard him saying that too, and I wasn't exactly sure like what that meant. I think some of it is – like the frustrating ones are the pre-snap penalties, the offsides, the false start, whatever. Some of it looked like to me like the South Carolina offensive line was just like they felt like they needed to get off early to have a chance against Missouri. And, I think that was some of the things where they were just so antsy, so not wanting to get beat that, they felt like they had to jump early, which probably is not a good sign. And you can practice and teach and emphasize all these things all you want. But at the end of the day, like it is on the players in the moment, the players on the field to either do it or not do it. Like there's, the coaching goes out the window when those guys are on the field a little bit. So I don't know what he's doing, and I don't think he wants to say, because if it doesn't work, then he doesn't want to say anything. And if it works, then he'll probably tell us, well, we did this, and this differently. And, that's why our penalties were, mitigated.
Jordan, as we let you go, man, how do you see this thing going Saturday night?
I think South Carolina pulls it out. This Kentucky offense, they have really good running backs, and that's going to be kind of an interesting thing to see if South Carolina's tackling cleans up. But I just don't trust Kentucky's quarterback at all. I just don't think they're going to be able to move the ball very well. And I think South Carolina's offense should at least get better. And get better only means, you got to score like 21 to 24 points to win. And so that's, I think that's doable. So I see them winning this game. I don't think it's going to be very high scoring. But yeah, I do see them getting back in the win column.
Jordan, thanks for your time as always, man. You're the best.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
You too.
Thanks, Jordan.
I love what he said there. Diesel, I don't know that they can get much worse. And the thing about it is, like, I laughed when he said that, because he's right. Like, you expect them to get better Saturday night against Kentucky, and the run game to get better, all they have to do is rush for a positive yard. They didn't do that last week. It baffles me how you can't rush as an SEC program for positive yardage. Maybe my mind's just not, engulfed in football enough to understand that. I know you're playing good defenses too, but it's one of those things that I just can't comprehend.
Well, if you just changed the rules and didn't include sacks as negative rush yards, then we wouldn't have this problem. Just change how they do statistics for football.
It's the SEC, it's NCAA's rule. It's the officials.
The rules.
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
going to put the system on trial.
Oh my gosh. Daily Wires coming up right now in the very next segment on the Fan Upstate. I don't know if you Tolos remember or not. I'm sure you do as we enter our daily wires. Diesel, the biggest headline is like thinking back. You know how like you always have those where you were when this happened. Like we talked about it with 9/11 a couple of weeks ago. We all remember where we were. 1 year ago tonight, it started, 1 year ago today, it started raining. If you remember, it had rained a lot that week. The ground was already like soaking wet. Thursday night, it absolutely just poured. And then Hurricane Helene hit tonight.
Oh,
Tonight, I mean, it's Thursday.
Today.
Yes, it is. It is 1 year. Hurricane Helene hits tonight 1 year ago. Friday, you were off, scheduled already off. I came in here and did the show. And I think everybody was texting in saying, hey, I'm sitting in my car charging my phone. We're listening to the show. It was the weirdest day I've ever done radio.
And how did it happen that I took that Friday off last year?
That's weird.
And I'd take the same Friday off a year later.
That's strange, isn't it? It's strange. So, man, it's been a year.
Let me check the weather forecast real quick.
No kidding. It's been a year, man. And just like that, again, you still think about those who had their homes and everything devastated by Hurricane Helene. 1 year just like that, man. It was a crazy weekend fighting for gas and groceries and everything. It was awful.
I remember driving basically to Anderson for a bag of ice.
Yeah.
And my wife was on these apps that have like the Penguin ice dispenser places.
Yeah.
They have an app that shows you all their locations and whether or not they're functioning at the time. And you would find it on the app and you would go there and the machine's down. And you're like, oh, crap, let me find another one. You drive there and it's down, or it's got a line 50 people deep.
It's crazy, man. 1 year ago, tonight in the NFL, the Seahawks are in Arizona. Don't tell me the Seahawks in Arizona played last year on this night. Then I'll really be freaked out. Tonight, Diesel, Seahawks on the road, favored by 1.5. The New York Jets quarterback Justin Fields returned to practice Thursday, raising hope that he will clear NFL concussion protocol in time to start Monday night against the Dolphins. Aaron Glenn said he still has to go through the whole protocol before he's totally cleared, but I like where he's at going into Monday night's game. An extra day there, obviously. How about this? Diesel, there might be a brewing rivalry this weekend. You know what starts tomorrow? The Ryder Cup.
Ooh.
If there is a brewing rivalry between Bryson and Rory, then the Ryder Cup could be a perfect setting for another dramatic duel. While both star golfers downplayed any animosity between them, DeChambeau and McIlroy have acknowledged that being matched up against each other this week at Bethpage Black would be welcomed. I quote, would I love to go up against them? Yeah, it would be a lot of fun, DeChambeau said on Thursday. Is it going to happen? It's not likely. I mean, maybe once. You never know. If I come up against Bryson at some point, I think it's great, McIlroy said. I think that's wonderful for the championship and wonderful for us as well in some ways, Diesel, as long as he doesn't get upset because Roy didn't talk to him.
This sounds like the most manufactured drama you could possibly put together for a Ryder Cup. I mean, come on. Now, otherwise, nobody else is talking about it.
Yeah.
You know, why not just have a slap fight? But instead of like slapping each other in the head, because have you watched that competitive slap fighting?
Yeah, it
it's
looks
weird.
brutal.
Do it with golf gloves, with your driving hand glove. Just smack them in the face with your glove.
And you know what? The Ryder Cup, like I told you this past year, Diesel, I got more and more interested in watching golf. The only problem is you've got like 10 top 10 not 10 top 10 matchups, but a really good slate of college football.
Well, it feels like golf the last big thing to happen in golf was months ago. It feels like it was so long ago, even it was only a couple weeks.
No, it does. And that's the sad part. That's the sad part. You wish it was not kind of hidden behind what's happening in football. Aaron Judge has tied the record for 50 home runs for 50 home run seasons at 4 with a 3-run shot to right center against Chicago. His feat now ties him with Babe Ruth, Mark McGwire, and Sammy Sosa.
Good company to be in.
You think?
And he's a young guy. He's going to beat that record.
He's going to beat it.
Feels like it.
Judge also tied Mickey Mantle for second on the Yankees' all-time multi-homer game list at 46. Babe Ruth holds first at 68. The fact that you're having this conversation about Aaron Judge and these guys blows my mind.
Right.
Like the all-time greats. That just shows you how good Aaron Judge is.
And baseball fans will not put him in the same pantheon.
Oh my gosh.
Because there's a pedestal that you put those 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s ball players on that no modern ball player can ever reach, even if he beats them in certain statistics.
Yeah. Last night, the Cleveland Guardians overtook the Detroit Tigers for sole possession of first place in the AL Central with a 5-1 win over Detroit. The Guardians were 15.5 games out of first in earlier July, which is crazy. Cleveland's won 17 of the last 19 games. Detroit will try to avoid the sweep tonight. I mean, things have gotten bad in Detroit. And I mean, we did the down bad list yesterday, Diesel. This is embarrassing.
And I, under no circumstances, want to face the Guardians right now. They've won 17 of their last 19 games.
Yeah. And those are your Daily Wires.
Bzzz. When we come back, I have put together my Carolina's top 10. I rank the 10 FBS playing schools in North and South Carolina combined. I'll give my list. Cole's going to tell me just how wrong I am. That's next. Tolos are getting their upset picks to us. Mark Ello Ducks taking Syracuse plus 5.5 over Duke. Frank Wagner is taking Illinois plus 6.5. Is that the Southern Cal game? I think so. Frank, do us a favor and put the whole game. Put the whole game on your text. And let's see. WVU fan 214 is taking Tulsa plus 15.5 over Tulane. How about that? Appreciate very upsetting. Also getting his upset pick in.
I love that name.
He's taking Arkansas plus 4.5 over Notre Dame. I like that one. Very upsetting. And special shout out to Silly Goose, who I think is Madcraft. At his Madcraft, he's going by Silly Goose. He's his
exposed now, though. He's exposed.
We know who you are. Yeah.
Shots fired.
Palmetto Buckeyes is going Syracuse over Duke plus 5.5. Cole, there are exactly 10 FBS playing teams in the Carolinas. We rank them every single week. We try to do it every single week. We forgot last week, but to be honest,
and I'll remember next week.
Yeah,
when you're not here.
Well, to be honest, it's really hard to rank a top 10. It really should be the bottom 10 of football teams in the Carolinas because Cole, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the top 10 teams lost this week, or 6 of the 10 teams lost. 2 of them were on a bye.
That's not
so
good.
There were exactly 2 wins in the Carolinas this weekend, and one of them was a little Carolina on Carolina hate.
We've got some issues. We got some danger that you just heard. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is bad. I mean, it's real bad. And I hate that you're having to rank these because
this is not easy.
What are you doing? Picking on the short kids here?
They're all awful.
You ready for this, by the way? Let's see if this button still works. I hadn't hit this button in a long time. Oh, it does work.
Oh. The Carolina.
The floor is yours.
Top 10. All right, let's do the Carolinas top 10. I'm going to rank my top 10 teams here in the Carolinas. Cole's going to tell me where I got it right and where I am dead wrong, Cole. We start with the number 10 spot. The very worst team in the Carolinas right now, and that would be the Charlotte 49ers, who got blown out at home on, what was that, Thursday night of last week? It might have been a Friday night. It was a Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
38-17. Absolutely embarrassed at home. People had whole sections to themselves, man. There is just no football culture at UNC Charlotte.
You know, I don't understand it either, Diesel. When you look at Charlotte, like if you took this university and threw them up in the Midwest or something, okay, I'll believe it. But they're in a hotbed for recruiting.
Should be, yeah.
You got North Carolina.
And they've got 32,000 students. UNC Charlotte is huge.
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand it. There's just too much talent around them. Look, do they have to compete with the other guys as well? Sure, they do. But ultimately, there's too much talent there. So there's no arguing for me. They're bad. I don't even know that they should be allowed in the Carolinas anymore.
For comparison's sake, yeah, we'll put them on Carowinds property, so they're half in North Carolina, half in South Carolina. So neither one of us has to claim them.
That's
How
right.
about that? By the way, for reference, Clemson has 29,000 students. So UNC Charlotte is 3,000 students bigger than Clemson. And Clemson has grown a lot.
They have that many students up there.
It's crazy.
Is that the biggest in North Carolina or not?
I
know I'm putting you on the spot now.
NC State.
That is a lot of enrollment. I mean, I know NC State's a big school. They have a big alumni base.
28,000. So, yeah, I guess so. I guess
UNC Charlotte's that big.
Yeah.
That is insane to me. I didn't realize. I guess I did realize that, but I mean, you're talking about one of the biggest schools in the state.
East Carolina has 27,000. Obviously, Duke, Wake, they're smaller.
Duke's small.
NC State is right there, 28,000. And East Carolina, 28,000.
And what's the enrollment again?
32,000 students.
Oh my God!
It's got to be satellite campuses or something.
Yeah.
Gotta be. I don't understand.
That's crazy, especially when you compare to like South Carolina. I mean, 38,000, I think, total enrollment. But wow, that's
a school that big, and you can't find a roster of 105 guys that can play football.
That's
better than
crazy.
It's nuts.
And they're the worst team in the Carolinas, according to you.
Yeah, they are
no
my
pushback.
number 10.
No pushback.
Number 9 on my list, Cole, is UNC Chapel Hill. Took a 34-9 loss on the road at UCF. Just non-competitive. And this program, even though they're 2-2, they're in a rough spot right now. Really rough spot.
So we had this conversation many, many times during the summer. We talked about it at ACC kickoff too.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick, one of the greatest, let me back up, the greatest NFL coach ever, comes to college, has this hot girlfriend, right, that everybody thinks is the best, and North Carolina's not a single bit better? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I've
They're
got.
not a single bit better.
That's what I've got them at. And I do sort of
crazy.
In my mind, I'm doing a combination of resume, power ranking.
Yeah.
Just kind of feel how good do I think these teams are.
No, I don't disagree with you. They're embarrassing right now. It's just if you love football, you know what kind of impact the coach can make. And I know it's his first season, right? Like you do have to acknowledge that it takes time at the college level, but he got all these new guys in. And I remember it like it was yesterday. People thought this was going to be one of the greatest stories in the ACC, and they're not one bit better with the best coach in the history of the NFL.
Makes me want to go home and rewatch Back to School. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
Rodney Dangerfield movie from the late 80s. So good, man.
Oh.
It's Rodney Dangerfield, old dude, goes back to college, and it's kind of that culture shock of now you're back in school. Let's move on to the 8th spot, Cole. I've got my App State Mountaineers sitting at 2-1. They're 2-1, but they have looked bad a couple of times, and they looked awful last week against Southern Miss. They had a bye week, 2 weeks ago against Southern Miss. Bye week last week, sitting at 2-1. I mean, the only reason I have them above UNC and Charlotte is, number one, they beat Charlotte. Number two, A.J. Swan, the quarterback, can move the ball. They just can't get it into the end zone.
And as bad as Coastal Carolina's offense has been, you're putting them behind Coastal Carolina.
I've got Coastal as my number 7 team because they just put up 38 points against a conference opponent last week, South Alabama.
Finally, let me ask you this: 2-1,
competence.
2-1 at App State, though. I mean, it's not a bad record. And, a lot of times records don't show everything. We acknowledge that. You can look deeper than a record. I just wonder if you do have to acknowledge the newness of the coaching staff and, maybe it taking some time to get off the ground a little bit.
That's true, but I'm not going to move him up the list just because Dowell Loggins is in his first year as a head coach.
Yeah. I think if Coastal wouldn't have scored 38, though, I think you'd have
probably
App at 7,
probably
Coastal at 8.
Here's where it gets fun, Cole. I've got Clemson as my number 6 team. So I go Charlotte 10, UNC 9, App State 8, Coastal 7. Clemson is the 6th best team in the Carolinas. Come on. There's no way we can have them any higher on this list. It has been ugly every time they've been on the field.
It's been ugly. There's no doubt. And this is where it gets fun because that means you have 5 other teams. This is crazy. I'm laughing because we're saying this out loud. You have 5 other teams from the Carolinas ranked ahead of Clemson. So, they're 1-3. I've said this for a long time. At some point, you are what you are, right? Like on paper, doesn't matter anymore because the games aren't played on paper, and you've lost 3 games. You've won 1, and let's call it like it is here. The 1 win you had was not impressive.
No.
So you have not had an impressive quarter of football, and that's like what we were talking about the other day. What position group do you look at and think,
everything's clicking? No,
nothing. So,
and I look at the teams that I have above Clemson, and I'm saying neutral site. I wouldn't give Clemson a 51% chance to win those games.
Tyler.
Number 5, I've got the East Carolina Pirates, who they're 2-2. They lost badly against BYU. That was my upset pick last week. It did not go the way that I thought it would. But prior to the BYU game, East Carolina had looked really good. So maybe they just ran into a weird scheme. They were unprepared. I don't know what it was, but East Carolina has shown the ability to play complementary football, and Clemson has not.
Who replaced Houston?
Who replaced Houston?
Yeah. I'm blanking.
It was his.
Was it Blake Harrell?
It was his offensive coordinator. I think.
Blake Harrell. So look, my whole thing with ECU is they've always been talented. They've always had really good football players. I just don't know ultimately. Maybe it's too early in the season for me to really get a good grasp on them.
Yeah.
You said 2-2.
They're 2-2.
Ooh, and you've got them at 5.
I've got them at 5.
In the Carolinas. And again, no disrespect to Blake Harrell. I don't know a ton about Blake Harrell. Like you said, he was already on staff. And their 2 losses, NC State, not a terrible loss, and BYU, they weren't competitive in that game. Look, you'll know today, Army, they play tonight, right? They play in Greenville tonight. Army coming into town. You've got
I think BYU played their best game of the season so far.
They did. You've got Memphis on the schedule. But you know what, man? East Carolina does not have a difficult schedule at all. I mean, you've got Tulane and Tulsa coming up. Temple's not really.
No.
Charlotte, yes. UTSA, Florida Atlantic. I don't know what this schedule looked like under Mike Houston compared to what it does now. But, yeah, if you don't win, 7 or 8 games with this schedule, then you probably should be fired. So I don't have a big issue where you have them.
Yeah, I mean, they still have a couple of tough games. I mean, Memphis, UTSA towards the end of the season going to be tough. Tulsa, I mean, they just beat Oklahoma State.
Hey,
Tulane, not a bad team either.
You know, the only pushback you're going to get here from Clemson fans is having East Carolina at 5 and Clemson at 6, there's going to be a Clemson fan that texts in and says, well, if they played head-to-head, who would win, right? Unfortunately, that really doesn't matter because what have you done for me? That's what that's what this list is based off of for you, right?
But also this East Carolina team has looked competent and complementary in 3 different games so far.
Yeah, and they've
the 24-17 loss at NC State. It's not a bad look for them.
Yeah.
56-3 win against Campbell. A great look for them. 38-0 win at Coastal Carolina. Great look for them. I mean, this Clemson team has not looked good in all phases of the game this season.
That's true.
So, I mean, I got to put East Carolina
I like it.
a little bit above them.
All right.
Okay, here we go to the number 5 spot, Cole. I've got Wake Forest sitting at 2-1. And this is 4 spot, excuse me. And this is where it gets hard, right? This is where we don't have a clear head and shoulders best team in the Carolinas. So there's kind of a log jam at the bottom on this thing.
I'm laughing looking at the top of the list. Like 2025, we're really having this conversation.
But tell me where I'm wrong. I mean,
I can't. It's Wake Forest, and then that leaves the 3 teams that are above them. Yeah. I can't believe we're having this.
Yeah,
Wake Forest is
2-1. They had a barn burner 10-9 game against Kennesaw State in week 1. 42-10 win against Western Carolina. 34-24 loss against NC State, and then a bye week last week.
They played Georgia Tech Saturday. Yeah. That's going to be a loss,
There's going to be some movement in this thing,
you know, my whole thing is why I think this list is difficult early in the year is because you don't have sample size of in-conference games.
Small sample size, a lot of varying levels of opponents.
And like we would all probably agree that Clemson would beat Charlotte, North Carolina, App, Coastal, East Carolina, Wake Forest, like the top 7. But again, you have to base it on what they've done. And right now, I can't argue with you on much.
Are you telling me with the way Clemson has played in its 4 games so far that it's a lock that Clemson easily beats Coastal, App, East Carolina, Wake on a neutral field?
No.
You telling me it's a lock?
Not
no,
locked.
It's not.
There's no locks right now with this Clemson team. Not with this team. Could they turn it on? Sure, but no, there's no locks.
Number 3 on my list, I've got South Carolina, 2-2. We'll find out more about them this weekend.
Old Roosters.
Number 2 on my Carolina's top 10, I've got the NC State Wolfpack. They took a loss against on the road at Duke this past weekend, and that's why I've got to have Duke. I can't believe I'm saying these words. What season is it anyway?
Oh, my gosh.
Duke is the best team in the Carolinas right now.
This is a basketball list, right? Is that what it is?
It kind of feels like it could be, doesn't it?
I mean, I can't even believe we're having this conversation. It really does feel like like 3 months from now, this is your Carolina's top 10 for college basketball.
Spartanburg J texts in, Clemson beat Troy. That's got to count for something.
Did they did Spartanburg J?
I know
they didn't look good at all, though.
This might be the hardest time I've ever had putting together Carolina's top 10.
I feel like Paul Feinbaum, Diesel. I feel like when he said,
I don't really know what to say.
That's how I feel right now about this list.
I mean, Tolos,
really know what to say.
Text in and argue me. Tell me where I'm wrong.
It's hard.
All right.
I mean, yeah, it is what it is. Sample size matters, right?
So to recap, I got Duke 1, NC State 2, South Carolina 3, Wake Forest 4, East Carolina 5, Clemson 6, Coastal 7, App State 8, UNC 9, and Charlotte 10.
I can't believe I heard you say that. I really can't. That is so wild. But South Carolina's down bad. We are. We're down bad as the Carolinas. And I guess that's what we get because we experienced Clemson, at their mountaintop diesel. We've experienced App State, going and knocking off some of the greatest programs. We thought Bill Belichick was going to give us a little flavor in Chapel Hill, right? And
Harrell at East Carolina should have brought this team back to prominence by now.
So this is what we get. And don't let me leave out Coastal. I mean, Jamie Chadwell's Coastal teams were awesome. So we experienced a lot of awesome, at times this list with North Carolina had an NFL quarterback a couple of seasons ago. So I guess we're just due, right? You have the ebbs, you have the flows, and
North Carolina had a quarterback that Tom in Somerville was calling in all season long, saying, "Look out for Gio Lopez."
Oh yeah, that hadn't really panned out. That's funny. That is funny. So I don't have a ton of pushback on your Carolina's top 10. Tolos, look, here's the deal. We've got 2 more guests coming up on the show, but we really, 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 really need to do what Matthew McConaughey said and get these numbers up. The Upset Picks Challenge is rolling on right now. You can enter the Upset Picks Challenge at 844-3263-663. On the other side, we go behind enemy lines. If you're a Gamecock fan, we talk to the color analyst for Kentucky football, Jeff Piecoro. That's next. you Gamecock fans in the upstate of South Carolina, make sure you turn it on and leave it on in this very segment as we go behind enemy lines and talk to Jeff Piecoro, the color analyst for Kentucky football. The broadcast, if you're a Clemson fan, you've just got to sit and listen and wish your team had 2 wins on the season. Jeff, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Bryce.
Absolutely, man. Glad to have you on the show. Look, Kentucky and South Carolina, we thought that maybe with the expanded playoff way back when that it would water down the regular season. But, man, this matchup, a lot of ramifications on the line. Doesn't seem like this one's watered down too much, huh?
It's really interesting, and I know you guys just played Missouri and everything, but Kentucky considers himself kind of on that par with Missouri, South Carolina, Florida, if you will, and Kentucky. They kind of, until last year, they kind of were, 8, 9 wins every year. And this, for whatever reason, the South Carolina matchup has become a huge rivalry. I think both teams just do not like each other, and the coaches don't really like each other.
Talking to Jeff Piecoro, Kentucky football color analyst. Good to meet you, Jeff. It's Diesel here. Now we're in year number 2 without divisions in the SEC, right. And the new matchups for the next 4 years have been announced. And yes, Kentucky and South Carolina will continue facing each other for the next couple of years. But Cole and I are both pretty staunchly anti-divisionless. We would love to see the SEC go back to divisions. If I'm South Carolina, I don't care about playing Mississippi State more often. I'd rather play Kentucky and Georgia and Florida every year. What are your thoughts on the divisionless SEC now that we've had a year and change to start, experiencing it?
I kind of agree with that, because with the additions of teams like Oklahoma and Texas, now you can truly have an East and West, because before you saw some teams in the East that were in the West, and you're like, how is that? But I agree with you, especially if there's going to be any more growth. If they bring 2 more teams in, or 4 more teams get to 20, it's going to be real interesting to see. The Big Ten's already 18, and there's still talk that they're going to have the Super Conference. But to me, I would, as you said, much rather play Vandy, Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. Those are the teams that we grew up as kids watching on that side. And for me, when I played at Kentucky, it was, we wanted to beat Tennessee, for instance. And so that's kind of the deal. And I don't really care about Arkansas. Don't really care about Missouri. Don't really care about Oklahoma. Texas is kind of cool just because of who it is. But I kind of agree with you, Fiesel. I'd like to go back to the divisions.
Jeff, when you look at this Kentucky team, man, a lot of Gamecock fans will see Kentucky for the first time this season. In your mind, the strengths of this football team are what? Running
the football. And I know that's not what your fans want to hear, but they've got a really strong running game. They have 3 backs that I think are really good. They could play for almost any team. And of course, one of them came from Oklahoma. So pretty strong. We got a freshman quarterback that's making his first road start, so that's going to be interesting, because it's never easy to play inside that. So you guys have a great stadium. I love going there. I loved it for years because we were always there during the state fair. And I had a blast. I'd stop over there and get something to eat and kind of just see everything. But I just think this team is built. Mark Stoops has a mentality of defense and running the football. This offense will not work if they can't run. Everything's predicated on the running game, and that opens up the passing game for them. Defensively, everybody's healthy for the first time in a long time, and I know it's only 4 weeks into the season. But strong defense. I mean, when you're done playing Kentucky, the other teams are like, we knew we were in a football game. They might not be the biggest, the fastest, the strongest, but they play hard. That's all you can ask.
Jeff, as you've begun doing your scouting of South Carolina, you've seen that they, obviously they can score in multiple ways, and that's a good thing for South Carolina, because if they couldn't score on special teams, they wouldn't be doing a lot of scoring. But this Kentucky defense, they've given up multiple scores to everybody they've played so far this season. If you had to put a number on it, what would the target for this Kentucky offense, as far as this is what they've got to score to have a chance to win this game against South Carolina?
I think they have to score more than, let's say, 24. I think 28, 24, 31, 27, something like that. I think it's going to be close. I think there are really 4, maybe 5 games on Kentucky's schedule where this game is going to be a lot like the Ole Miss game was. And for your fans, there was a 1-score game the entire game, and it ended that way. Kentucky had a lot of chances to win a game, probably should have won the game. I don't think Ole Miss is as good as they were last year. But I think that 24 is a good number. You can get over 24. I think you got a shot at beating this team. The problem for Kentucky's defense, just too many, we call it yak yards. You've got to tackle. I don't care if it's a receiver. I don't care if it's Sellers. You've got to make the play. It's yards after contact that's just killed them.
Jeff, it's really interesting, man. I love that, the yak yards. Hey, a little bit of a format breaker here. You and your radio crew that broadcasts Kentucky football games, when you guys go on the road, when you're every week at home, obviously, you probably have the same routine, but this week you're on the road. You mentioned the old state fair that happened every single time South Carolina and Kentucky played each other in Columbia. What's your rituals on the road? Do you have a chance to check out Columbia, some of the establishments much, or what are you going to get when you visit Columbia this weekend?
Well, the great thing here is we don't play till 7:45. We don't leave the hotel till 5:15. So I've got all day Saturday. And what's happened the last 2 or 3 times we've been to South Carolina, we stay right downtown, and they have the street fair, and it's been fantastic. I love it. All kinds of food. There's guys playing music down there. It's really neat. So I'll be doing that. And then next week, for instance, we go to Georgia. Well, we're going a little earlier. We're going to play golf on Friday. Wow. And I've got all my buddies in South. I've got a couple of buddies of mine that grew up here in Kentucky that live in Columbia, and they're like, get here early and we can play golf on Friday as well. So get to play some golf and then get to eat a lot of food on Saturday.
So what's the food look like? I mean, if it's up to Jeff Piecoro, the Kentucky football color analyst, what's the food of choice?
Wow, that's hard.
Now listen, Jeff, you don't want to get too heavy. We're talking about before the game starts.
Oh, I could care less. The more, the merrier. If we're anywhere near water, I want seafood. Our barbecue's always great. No, but like I said, that street fair you guys have downtown is fantastic, and I'll definitely be hitting that.
Well, Jeff, now I'm really going to paint you in a corner. Best barbecue in the SEC.
Ooh.
Well, obviously, a lot of people will say Dreamland just because of that's the name. That's all about the atmosphere, but it's the places that you go to that aren't the big name places. They're the best. When we were in Texas, and I know it's a new spot, but you got to get a barbecue in Texas, and it's totally different than Carolina barbecue. I know. Yeah. But there are some just anywhere you go, man. And I always say, if you can make brisket, then the rest of the barbecue is good.
That's right.
If your brisket ain't any good, then I don't want to have any part of anything else you got.
That's rules to live by right there. Jeff, when you look at this matchup, what areas, when you see South Carolina and what they've done, I mean, I don't know if your staff, you guys as broadcasters, look at what they were not able to do in the ground game last week with -9 rushing yards. What areas do you feel like this Kentucky team might, have an edge in?
Well, I don't know if have an edge, but the first thing you have to do is you're not going to stop Sellers, but you have to contain him. Meaning, if he's going to run, make him run up the middle. Do not let him escape the pocket to the outside. So if he runs, he's got to run it between the tackles to take off. That's the first key to it. Secondarily, you got to stop the receivers on the outside because you have so much speed. The one kid, is it Hardy? Harbor, yeah. I mean, come on, he's 6'5", and he's a track star. So you've got to – that's been Kentucky's downfall the last 2 years, really. Last year and into this year is giving up the big plays down the field. They've got to stop doing that. And then on the offensive side, they have to block Stewart. If they can contain Dylan Stewart in his pass rushing and not let Norris run crazy on you, they got a shot.
Jeff, I'm going to make a recommendation here for you, and this is not an endorsement in any way, shape, or form because it's not even in our market. But if you're looking for a place to go get some good brisket Saturday morning, you got to go to City Limits Barbecue. It's just on the west side of Columbia, but you got to get there early because you'll see a line 40 people deep for when they open at 11 a.m. If you don't get there early, you're going to be back in the line. So just giving you a heads up. Tell me about this. Tell me about this quarterback switch that's going on right now from Zach Calzada, who's injured, over to Cutter Boley. Tell me about his skill set.
Boley is a tall, lanky kid. He's put on 20 pounds over last year, so he's bulked up a little bit. He's a gunslinger. He's got a really strong arm. It's not Sellers. There's not many of those arms around college football. but he's not afraid. And that's the biggest thing is he's like I say to be a quarterback anymore in football, you have to be like a fighter pilot where you just, you just stay in the pocket and get what you can get. He's got a good arm. He can make all the throws. He's kind of like Sellers, where I think he goes backwards, meaning he looks deep first, then middle, then short. Most quarterbacks are the opposite of that. They look short and then deep. But he likes to chunk plays. He only completed 12 passes last week, but for 240 yards.
Yeah.
So he likes to go down the field. And he's helped by, look, they went out and bought themselves a really nice offensive line in the offseason. I mean, they got Braun over from Arkansas, was an all SEC offensive lineman playing. The left side is huge. You get 350 and 335 next to each other. That's Shiraza Pete, who came from New Mexico. And then you've got Braun next to him. So they bought themselves a really good line, and they're giving them time to throw, but most importantly, they're running the football. I mean, Kentucky's running the football over 200 yards a game, and that's what they have to do to South Carolina.
Jeff, I think I'm going to ask this question 400 more times. I feel like I've already asked it 400 times in the past 3 days. But you played football at Kentucky. You mentioned you watch it week in and week out. Explain to me, because my mind just can't comprehend. I'm too dumb, I guess, is what I'm getting at here. Explain to me how a Division I football team in the SEC can only rush for -9 yards. How do you explain that?
You know what? I've only watched about half of the game so far. That's amazing, because when I played South Carolina, you had a guy named George Rogers back there running the football, and heck, he had +9 coming off the bus.
Right.
So that's the most remarkable stat. Look, here's the difference too. You got to remember this. You guys changed offensive coordinators after last season. Your old offensive coordinator is a head coach now, and you brought in Mike Shula. And I've known the Shula family forever. His brother was a coach at the Cincinnati Bengals when I did their games up there as well. Mike hasn't been in college football since 2006, and a lot has changed since 2006.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's not the guy for the job, but you look at Gundy out at Oklahoma State, you look at Dabo at Clemson, you've got to stay, with the Joneses, so to speak, right? And I don't know if Shula has got that yet, or the team, because it's a different offense. I watch it and I say, how can Sellers not have 60, 70, 80 yards rushing and 300 yards throwing? It's impossible.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, he's Tim Tebow and Cam Newton. If they had together and had a baby, it would be Lenoris. I mean, he's that good. And I'm not just saying this because I'm on with you guys. The dude, the pass that he made last week on 3rd and 37, going to his left and throwing it 30 yards down the field on an actual, he dotted an eye.
Yeah.
That's one of the best throws I've ever seen. I mean, that's a Brett Favre type throw. And there's not 10 quarterbacks in college football, and I'm talking all 300 teams that could make that throw.
Talking to Jeff Piecoro, Kentucky football color analyst here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. As a guy that's given so much of your life to the University of Kentucky, as a player there, now as an employee and a color analyst for the team, how has the last 5 years or so of Mark Stoops' real successful pocket era changed the way that football is viewed on campus? I mean, from the outside looking in, we all think it's Big Blue, it's basketball 99% of the time for most of those fans. But, you look at the games on TV and the stadium is packed. So kind of how would you allocate the percentage of love for Kentucky athletics on campus now?
Well, I think the way you describe that is there's no pro sports here. There's the Cincinnati Bengals, but that's an hour and 20 minutes away. There's the Indianapolis Colts. That's almost 2 hours away. So, it's a college town, and they love their sports. And the university is, there's Louisville here, but Louisville doesn't have half the fans that the University of Kentucky has. And it's Mark has done something that no other coach, even Bear Bryant, couldn't do when he was here. Maybe if he'd have stayed a little longer, but 8 straight bowl games, and that string was broken last year. And let me tell you, he wants to get back, and he knows he has to get back to 8-9 wins a season, and that's going to be tough with this new, the way it's structured now. It's those easy cupcakes are gone, because Kentucky not only plays those 9 games, but like you guys playing Clemson, Kentucky plays Louisville every year, so it's really 10 SEC games. Because Clemson's, look, they're a really good team, and South Carolina has to play them every year. Well, Louisville's a really good team, and Kentucky has to play them in a year. So you really have 10 really, really tough games. So that only leaves 2 breathers. That's hard.
Jeff, fantastic stuff, man. Hope you guys have a safe trip down, and we so much appreciate your time today.
City limits, west side,
That's
Saturday
right.
morning, 10 o'clock.
11 o'clock. So
11
you're going to
o'clock.
want to get there at 10, maybe even 9:30. I'm just giving you a heads up.
Hey, I was just saying, you said you got to get in line. I'm getting
Yeah.
there early, man.
You better.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, thanks, fellas.
Absolutely. Really good stuff there. Appreciate Jeff coming across enemy lines to talk Gamecocks. If you South Carolina fans hadn't toe load today, let me tell you, you've made a mistake. Jordan Kaye, earlier in the 3 o'clock hour, absolutely fantastic. Talking Gamecocks. Jeff Piecoro right there, absolutely fantastic. And I don't know, and I'm not just saying this, I promise I'm not just, I don't know where else in the state of South Carolina you South Carolina fans get that coverage. Not bashing anybody else, but Jordan Kaye, Jeff, both angles, different. Carolina fans, you've got to be spoiled right here on the Fan Upstate. Jeff was awesome.
Jeff's great.
Awesome
He's the
stuff,
color guy.
man.
It's his job to be the fun one.
That's right.
Cole, you lived in Texas for a little while. You spent some time in brisket country. How long would you be willing to wait? If you're a hungry guy, you didn't eat breakfast that day because you're ready to eat a big lunch. How long are you willing to wait for an elite level brisket?
What state?
Well,
I'm not doing it in South.
Not doing it in South
I'm
Carolina.
not going to wait. Okay, I'll wait
How long would you wait in South Carolina?
20, 25 minutes.
That's it. In Texas.
Probably an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they know what they're doing.
It's good, man.
They know what they're doing down
It's
there.
so good.
When we come back, the Upset Picks Challenge is still happening, and I need you, Tolos, to get us your upset picks. We'll make another push for it next on the Fan Upstate. Tolos, get us your upset picks for week number 5. Perk just got his in. Perk is going with Arkansas plus 4.5 against Notre Dame. Could you imagine the sadness that we would hear from the Leprechaun of Lyman if they started off? Would that be 1-3?
Yeah, it'd be 1-3. It'd be 1-3. It'd be bad. I wonder if the Leprechaun will call in today during the Tolo takeover, which, by the way, 12 minutes from now, he's kind of been a little MIA, Diesel, since the Irish have not been lucky.
Well, he's got his upset pick in.
But he doesn't have he did no trash talking going on.
Well, it's a tough time for all of us, man, except for Dave Mosley, who is sitting in first place at 56 points in the upset picks challenge.
Dave, by the way, not playing anymore.
He just
paid him off.
I
paid him off.
Fell off.
I paid him off.
Fell off the list. Okay.
I sent him a little money and said, "Look, you've got to quit. You're winning. It's embarrassing what he's doing."
I guess hitting your picks, though, is a Mosley family tradition because he's doing well in this challenge. April has 13.5 points, and there's one more Mosley on the list. Do you remember the name off the top of your head?
Gus?
Is it Gus Mosley?
Is it Gus? Am I making that up?
Find Gus on this list. I know he's on it. It's just we have so many names on here. There he is. He's got 9.5 points.
Is that right, Gus?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm Gus or if I'm April, I'm saying, hey, Dave, whoever you take, I'll go with you.
But you know what? Like, this happened last year. I can't remember who it was, Diesel. I called for the cold streak to begin for the leader, and if you remember, he never hit again. So, yeah, they're hot. I mean, this just can't keep. But what I'm saying is, it can't keep happening, can it?
Leprechaun's agent texts in and says the Leprechaun has been on life support.
That's true. Oh, that's true, because he called in from the hospital last time, didn't he?
Yeah. So Tolos, if you have not yet gotten in your week number 5 upset picks, do it now. How this challenge works, if you've never been a part of it. And that's okay. If you've never been a part of it, you can jump right in right now and still have a very good chance to work your way up the leaderboard. Go to ESPN.com, find a game that you think the betting underdog will win outright. They have to straight up win the game. And if they do, the number of points that team was an underdog by will get added to a rolling season-long tally. In the future, if you have points and you get a pick incorrect, you'll lose one. If you don't pick at all, you'll lose 2. So you need to be here every single week making your picks. And it is possible to work your way up that leaderboard really quick. I did it last year. I have not done it yet.
Yeah,
but I still plan to.
Keyword.
I'm going to get there. Leprechaun of Lyman, who we just talked about, he's moved his way all the way up to 7th place. And he had no points through the first 3 weeks, I think. I mean, he's been on fire with his picks. But it's going to be tough to catch Dave. I think somebody's going to do it. I don't know. I predict right now today, 4:51 on Thursday, September 25th. Dave Mosley will not win the upset picks challenge.
I just don't know how he doesn't know.
He's only 5.5 points ahead of USC Justin,
which is incredible.
Let's not downplay his performance.
And Gamecock Tim's right there.
Bo from Greer, Gamecock Tim, Kane's
transplant. Bo from Greer's done well 2 years in a row.
I mean, they've got it figured out. I don't know if they've got one of those, Biff Tannen catalogs that has all the games in it. I don't know how they're doing it.
What you're saying is they're cheating.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying they're incredibly lucky, Cole. They're incredibly lucky, and the streak is going to come to an end. So, again, how you get your pick to us, you go to ESPN.com, find a game that you like, and then you text us at 844-FAN-PHONE, your name, your game, and the spread. For example, if you were so inclined to take the Georgia Tech Wake Forest game, you would text in with your name and then Georgia Tech at Wake Forest plus 13.5. That's the spread in that game. And you would get 13.5 points if Wake Forest pulls off the upset. You get nothing if they don't.
And just to FYI for any Tolos who have not picked, if you are interested in Greenville tonight, Greenville, North Carolina, not Greenville, South Carolina, at Dowdy Ficklin Stadium. What a name.
Yeah.
Army and ECU play tonight. Right now, ECU is favored by 4.5 points. So I don't know if that's obviously not the most popular pick for the upset picks this week because the spread's so low. However, if you did just want to get on the board and you haven't entered the upset picks challenge yet, tonight might not be a bad night to do it because you take Army plus 4.5. You're talking about a less than a touchdown point spread.
Yeah.
That's very likely. And Army's, look, they're 0-1 in the American. They're 1-2 on the season. They're still a good team, good program. I think they're going to turn it around, and I think this could be a good game tonight, a sneaky good game tonight in Greenville.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have to wait very long. But ESPN.com, if you go and you click on it, you get all kinds of information about the game. You get the matchup predictors. You get their last 5 games listed, best players at each position group on each team. So you can kind of get a good sense instead of just, picking one randomly out of a hat.
Speaking of picking one randomly out of a hat, Tolos, guess what? We are going to call on you. We're going to pick on you. Not randomly, but in the order that you call in the very next segment. What on earth am I talking about here? Tolo Takeover. If you're new to the show, Diesel and I talk a lot on this show every day from 3 to 7, but every Thursday at 5 o'clock, we give you, Tolos, an entire segment to sound off whatever it is, sports-wise, a bad week at work, somebody cut you off in traffic, whatever it may be. It's your chance to sound off on these airwaves. You, the Tolos, take over next at 844-326-3663. Tolos, it is now your opportunity to sound off, to make a bold prediction, to complain about something, as our first caller does just about every day on this show, to tell Diesel and I we're really, really smart, or we're really, really stupid, or whatever. It's completely up to you. What am I talking about? Every Thursday at 5 o'clock, it's the Tolo Takeover. You, the Tolos out there, get an opportunity to take over these airwaves. Diesel and I have spoken enough, and it's your opportunity. And Diesel, phone lines are wide open right now. 844-326-3663. Want to invite a new Tolo that has not called the show before to call in, take over. I'm sure you're upset about something on this Thursday. And
everybody's always mad about something.
Especially if you are driving in Greenville. There's plenty of idiots that don't know how to drive to be upset about. But here's what's funny. I know what this first caller is going to fuss about.
Somebody ought to be fired.
No. I saw it on Facebook just a few minutes ago.
Wait, are you sure it's this? He knows how to use Facebook?
I don't know if he knows how to use Facebook. He might. But Dewey's up first on the Tolo Takeover. And I know, without a shadow of a doubt, Diesel, the first thing that Dewey's going to complain about is this new forecast that I just saw on Facebook a few minutes ago that is now predicting a hurricane to come our way sometime next week. And go figure, with it being 1 year from the last one, right?
Hey, I got a generator. I'm fine. Bring it on.
And Diesel, you know that Dewey does not love local meteorologists. He's expressed that, and I'm telling you, I just know that's where he's going to go. Dewey, am I right or am I wrong? Welcome to the Tolo Takeover.
Well, kind of right, but I had a couple of things, but that's kind of what I want to focus on today. You mentioned the anniversary of Helene. Well, yes, there's rumors and lies going around on Facebook and Twitter and X and Z and TikTok that Chris Justice is predicting a hurricane to come again.
Wider,
and all he wants is money. He's trying to get money for his TV station.
All right,
I'll tell you
know, they all
what.
carry the weather, right, Dewey? They don't get paid because there's weather. That's not how it works.
They get paid because they got a license to tell the weather. I'll tell you something.
Tell me something, Dewey.
One thing, but then you turn on the Kendra Kent. She's saying something else. Chris Justice is predicting a hurricane in Greenville on his little Facebook page, or Kendra Kent saying there's nothing to worry about. And then you got some other guy on the other station saying something else. We should not trust these weather people. You need to go on online where they give you the weather where it says sunny skies. And I'll bet you come Monday, there's going to be sunny skies Monday. There ain't going to be no hurricane. I'm telling you.
Are they predicting it for this,
way.
Diesel? Dewey, are they predicting it for this coming Monday?
It's supposed to come Monday.
Okay, this Monday, like 3 days from now.
Yes. 3 days from now, but yet they don't know where it's going or what's it going to do. They just know it's coming, and it's the letter X. If you look at the map, you'll see you pull up the Hurricane Center site. All it is the letter X. You can look at it right now, and I'll show you. It's the letter X. So they're tracking the letter X. They're not even tracking a system. They're just tracking the letter X. And Cole, you used to do weather, so you know what I'm talking about.
I didn't used to do weather. I did not used to do weather, Dewey. I took one meteorology class in college.
Well, you should already know that this is a bunch of travesty to get us all
Wider, what's your name?
been on frame over nothing. They're trying to hide something, I'm telling you. It's going to be sunny and probably 100 degrees Monday.
Sunny and 75. Oh, thank you.
75.
All right, next topic, Dewey.
Right.
Next topic.
And that's about all I got.
Okay, thanks.
Dewey.
You said we got a couple of things, and you
God.
talked about one thing. Since you used to be a weatherman.
How do you remember that?
That was like
didn't
a
even
year
remember that.
ago.
Wow.
I took one class in college on meteorology. And Dewey's bringing up receipts, man. Oh,
why didn't you become a weatherman?
I just
Not enough chicks in it.
No, I don't know. It's a good question.
With a mustache like that and one of those little clickers and a green screen,
how fast I can read a teleprompter. I don't know. I think I could have. I mean, anybody can be a weatherman, right? I mean, is there any skill involved? I'm not trying to be.
Yannette Garcia has skills.
Okay, well, is there any? Let me digress.
You can't compete with that.
That's true. Diesel, the leprechaun of Lyman, is unable to call in during the Tolo takeover, so we have his agent on standby, and I hope his agent is not delivering sad news about the leprechaun. What's up, man?
Hey, so I'm not super good at these things, but since the leprechaun is currently on a ventilator, I'll try to take his place.
Oh, man.
Italy-hoo to you, boys. The defense is a bit lethargic, but after that Purdue beatdown, maybe we're turning a quarter. The Irish have no issues when their offense is on the field, so I expect a shootout against the Razorbacks since the defenses will yield. At high noon, a gunslinging showdown will take place in Fayetteville, Arkansas, but it will be Notre Dame that wins. They will look at us in awe and then wonder, with their heads hung down in shame, why they decided to tussle with the likes of that grand old Notre Dame. Hoo-hoo. I've never heard anything. You pulled me off the ventilator with that one. Well, you try coming up with a poem about Arkansas. Maybe some other time.
What just happened? What just happened? What just happened?
Was that a haiku?
I don't.
Was that a limerick?
Did you hear the leprechaun in the background?
Elegy or a eulogy?
Oh, this thing's going off the rails today. I mean, we need somebody to save us at 844-326-3663. Tolo takeover. Tolo J Butane says, "Look, he's texting in. We would prefer to hear your voice, Tolo J Butane, as the phone lines are open at 844-FANFONE. He says, Ohio State runs the table. Clemson loses 6. Lamar breaks the single-season touchdown pass record. Official prediction. What is this word in the middle? Official Jostradamus. What
like Nostradamus?
Oh, okay.
Jostradamus.
Gotcha. Thank you for that, Diesel. I did. Love to hear from you, Tolo J Butane. Let's go to Madcraft, who wants to chime in and take over these airwaves.
Finally, someone with some intelligence.
I said Madcraft.
Driver's permit.
Is that true?
Do what? Driver's permit.
Just kidding.
Do
What's
you
up,
have
man?
one? I mean, I assume Dewey doesn't, so I just want to make sure.
Well, first off, shame on Leprechaun, because when that whole situation started, I actually thought that he may have actually been in a serious medical state in the hospital.
So you're impugning the agent for sending you on a roller coaster of emotions.
Wow.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. But second off, I also want to point out, was Dewey insinuating that weather people or weather forecasters work off commission? That's all I heard. But anyway, let me get to my point real quick. I have a cool stat that I had mentioned yesterday, and it was the top 7 transfer portal classes from this past year. Those top 7 teams are a combined 27-0 so far.
Ooh. Wow.
So, great stat.
I was answering the phone. Can you repeat that, Madcraft?
The top 7 transfer portal classes, the teams this season, the top 7 are a combined 27-0 so far this season.
Wow. What's that? Can you say that? Can you send that to Dabo?
Well, yeah, maybe I should. I believe it's you got Miami, Florida State, Missouri, Georgia, Oregon, Texas Tech, and I believe Penn State. I believe that's
wow.
I mean, if that's not clear and sort of undisputable evidence for why Dabo Swinney needs to use the portal more. I know that he's wanting to do it his way and reward guys for sticking around, but I mean, come on. The numbers, the win-loss record right there says it all.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and
that's a good stat. Is
and
that true, by the way? You didn't make that up?
Yeah. No, I saw it on X yesterday. I actually put it in the chat. But what it really made me think about real quick, and I'll let y'all go, it made me think about your question, Cole, when you said, is Miami really this good or are the best teams really kind of that down?
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I think it's kind of both.
Yeah.
But then it made me think even further back. I don't know if y'all remember months ago, I had a take where I said, obviously the SEC is the clear number one in football, in my opinion. I don't think that's a debatable fact. But I had said that the SEC used to be, at level 10, and the next best conference would be at like level 5. Right now, I believe that all of these conferences are in the realm of 7, 8, 9, and 10 because of the parity that this is creating. And that's kind of what I meant at the time.
Yeah. I'm with you. Hey, let me ask you this question on the SEC real quick before you go on the SEC, because I've been thinking about this and I want to get your thoughts on it, and Diesel as well. Right now, spur of the moment, got to give me an answer. 3, 2, 1. The best team in the SEC right now is who?
The best team right now, Georgia.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I haven't seen anything yet so far to tell me not.
No Vandy?
No.
Why?
Because we know exactly what's going to happen when Vandy actually plays the big game.
Okay, tell us.
But they're going to lose.
No, they've already beaten South. They beat South Carolina.
Well, that's not a big game.
Oh, God. You're terrible.
Jeez.
I'm sorry. I'm
upset
being a silly
What's
goose, Madcraft.
What's South Carolina's record right
It's
now?
2-2. It's 2-2. Hey, they beat Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech.
They beat Charleston Southern, man. They beat Georgia State. They scored 70. They have Alabama, by the way, in 2 weeks in Tuscaloosa.
By the way,
We're
Madcraft,
going to learn about Alabama too this week.
we are going to learn about them. And, Georgia, they whooped up on Marshall that lost their entire team and their head coach. They whooped up on Austin Peay. And then they were in an overtime battle, not an overtime battle, close to it, battle with Tennessee, 44-41. And they would have lost that game if Tennessee had a kicker that could have hit it the first time. But I don't know that Georgia is the best team in the SEC. I'd probably go LSU.
Oh.
See, I do like LSU, but again, LSU has shown, I thought they looked great against Clemson, but then Clemson doesn't look that great. And then, I continue going forward. LSU has looked actually like they've kind of regressed in how good they looked in week 1.
Yeah.
Not that they're losing,
but
they just didn't look impressive to me. And I think that the way Miami beat Florida after Florida barely lost to LSU, I think that tells a different story.
Maybe it's that all of the SEC's 10s have regressed to 8s, where the Big 12, the Big 10, and the ACC's 6s have improved to 7s.
And I love the parity, by the way.
Exactly. That's what I believe.
I love the parity, Madcraft, in the conference, because I would say, to answer my own question, with a healthy John Mateer, Oklahoma's up there. Texas A&M's been really impressive to me through 3 games. They're undefeated. So if I had to answer I don't hate your Georgia answer. The way I am with Kirby Smart, I'm going to trust him, and I'm going to ride with him until he proves me otherwise. And then again, Ole Miss is undefeated. So I think it's tough to answer that right now.
Yeah, it is. I do like your Texas A&M and Arkansas. Mateer, that's really going to mess with.
It's going to be tough,
I think Arkansas is good. It's or Oklahoma.
Without Mateer, right? And then Madcraft, one more for you before we let you go. One more. Baseball season's winding down. Who is the manager of the Atlanta Braves in 2026?
I'm going to stay on board. I'm okay with it being Sticker. I know that's not the popular thing. I also want to point out real quick that, as I've always stated many months ago, regardless of the outcome, I would still be here. These colors do not run. Wasn't the best season. As I said, I thought maybe we'd make the playoffs. I didn't think we'd win a championship, but we didn't even make the playoffs. But that is.
Are you? Does that translate to Cole? You were right.
No,
Of course it
That
doesn't.
just means that you didn't try enough, Cole.
That's right. I wasn't happy enough. Thanks, Matt Kraft. 844-326-3663. We've got maybe time for one or two more, but they've got to be quick at 844-FAN phone on the Toe-Low takeover. It's interesting, Diesel. I think the SEC, the parity there, last year the conversation was the SEC wasn't as good because Bama, lost to Vandy. They were down. Kalen DeBoer's first year. And now I think the conversation, you look at this conference, before Mateer got injured at Oklahoma, I mean, there's like 6 legitimate contenders for the conference right now. And that's parity that we have not seen in years before when we had the dynasties, right?
Yeah, and look, the parity has helped the Big Ten come up in a major way. Obviously, Ohio State has always been a very solid football team, football program, but now that they're investing the kind of money that they are, the arms race, remember last year it was unfathomable, this $25 million roster that they put together. Now Texas Tech comes out of nowhere and says, we're going to spend way more money than you. But now look at the top 10 right there. You got Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, 3 teams from the Big Ten inside that top 10, and none of them are from the SEC. Isn't that a little bit telling and interesting?
Yeah.
When you're looking at just how this game has shifted, and I do wonder if it's going to stay that way for a while, or if even if a couple of the best teams in college football are Big Ten, if they can continue stacking titles in the way that the SEC did.
Real quick before we run to a break, yes or no game contender? Yes or no? Simple as that.
National championship contender.
No, SEC.
SEC.
Yeah. Ole Miss?
No.
Oh, wow.
No.
LSU?
LSU, yes.
Mizzou?
Yes.
Okay, that's 2 yeses.
I think they're good.
Oklahoma?
No.
Because of
Mateer.
Vandy.
I think it might take us some time to come back.
Yeah.
Vandy, it had to go game by game on the schedule. I'm going to say no, because I think somebody's going to outskill them at some point.
Georgia?
Yes.
Mississippi State. I can't believe I'm saying Mississippi State's 4-0 in the SEC. Are you kidding me?
Let's just say yes to all of them. Mississippi State, no.
Okay. A&M.
No.
See, I say yes on A&M. Texas.
No.
Really?
No.
Wow. You're hard on the Bama.
Yes, I think they're coming back.
So you've got Auburn, by the way?
No.
Tennessee?
No.
Kentucky?
No.
Okay, so you've got 4 contenders.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Ole Miss, no. LSU, yes. Mizzou, no. Oklahoma, yes. Vandy, no. Georgia, yes. Mississippi State, no. A&M, yes. Texas, yes. Bama, yes. I've got 2 more contenders. Tennessee, probably not.
Does everybody get a trophy in
Yes.
your world, Cole?
I think there are 6 contenders in the SEC that can contend for the conference. I just think there's that much. I'm not saying all of them deserve to win it, but I look at this conference and I see 6 teams, and Tennessee's borderline. They could be a 7th. I see 6 teams that could be contending for the SEC. I think there's that much parity this year.
Okay, so on this Tolo takeover, the last thought I have for you, Cole.
Yeah.
Should I feel happy for Joey Aguilar and the success he's having at Tennessee? He was our guy. He left us. He ends up at Tennessee. I don't have any, I don't have any deep-seated ill will against Tennessee for anything.
That's a good question.
So, should you root for the success for transfers who leave your school and go somewhere else? They become big-time starters, especially at quarterback. It's the easiest position to look at.
I think a lot of people probably have differing opinions. It just depends how your makeup is, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm kind of old school on this. If you leave my team, to heck with you, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
I don't again, no ill will, but I just don't care. Sorry. I don't care if you, no injury, not wishing for an injury, but I don't care if you are good
I've
or
seen
not.
so many posts from App State fans. Oh, it's so great that our guy, Joey Aguilar, he's having success. Oh my God, good for you.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'll watch your game and be like, hey, I remember when you were really good 2 years ago, mediocre last year, and you're having success at Tennessee. Good for you. But I'm not all of a sudden going to become a Tennessee fan,
Right.
because Joey Aguilar went there.
And that
I don't care.
That kind of answers the question. And what I said, some people do, some people don't. I don't care for it. But to your point, you've seen so many posts. I mean, there are a lot of fans out there that still feel like, and I think Clemson fans are. This is an interesting topic for Clemson with DJ, right? DJ left, and he went on, and then a lot of Clemson fans were still on board. Most weren't. I don't believe, but
what was the player's name? He was a Clemson defensive player. Ended up going to Texas. Pretty good. Got drafted. I think his last name started with an M.
You wouldn't have asked me.
Somebody help me out, Tolos. You'll know who I'm talking about. He started at Clemson, transferred to Texas, played there for a year, and now he's in the NFL. Yeah.
Sorry for not knowing. I am too.
I think his name started with an M. I'm not positive.
Okay. But I think it's a good question. Some people feel like because that player was a part of your program, they still have ties to him, right? He came up and loyalty has a lot to do with that. No, I don't think people are wrong for feeling that way. But
Andrew Makuba.
Gotcha.
Andrew Makuba.
Gotcha.
Like, would you feel some kind of actual feelings of Makuba getting a stop at Texas?
Mm-mm.
I mean,
no.
They ended up playing each other,
Yeah.
Cole, when we come back, there is a big time change coming down the pipe in college football. Another ruling in a lawsuit, and the NCAA takes another bath. We'll just kind of play this out logically of where it could go and how bad it could get now that this is happening. We'll talk about it next, right here on the Fan Upstate. John Dog texts in 844 fan phone, says, if you leave my team, good riddance. I like that,
I like
John
it.
Dog. I
Read
like
the
the
other
way
John Dog text
that
too.
you think. Where's the other
The one
John
that
Dog
he
text?
taking a shot at me, Diesel.
Oh, that one. Let me find it. Where did it go?
Put you on the spot there. Basically,
John Dog said, if you're new to the Upset Picks Challenge, don't pick what Cole picks.
Isn't that mean? Isn't that rude? John
Gotcha.
Dog, isn't that rude?
Woo.
That's funny, though.
That's good stuff.
By the way, I hit last week. Thank you very much.
Well, a blind squirrel finds a nut sometimes, Cole. There's something, Cole, quietly going on in college football that we all kind of predicted and thought would happen eventually, and now it's actually happening. Bringing you in on what's going on with the Indiana linebacker, Lewis Moore. Lewis Moore is 24 years old, and he just successfully sued the NCAA in Texas court, and a Texas judge has ruled that the time Lewis Moore spent playing in JUCO doesn't count against his NCAA eligibility.
Oh, my God. And how many years did you say how many years he spent? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
So it didn't matter if he spent 1 year in JUCO or 3 years in JUCO.
Right.
And most of the time, a lot of these players only spend minimal years.
Most of the time, JUCO is there for guys that have the behavioral issues
or
that
not
get
the grades.
in trouble. They don't have the right grades. So they go there. They sort of rehab their image. They rehab their academics or whatever, and then they move back into another program, Cole. But this is concerning to me because that now opens the door to essentially turn JUCO into JV football for Power 4 schools. Because like at this point, if
you said JV,
turning JUCO into JV.
like a minor league, almost like a.
Think about this. How many high school coaches have we talked to, and especially when we did our Spartanburg and Greenville County high school football preview shows? All of them not all of them, but some of them told us about the systems that they run and how those systems have trickled down into the middle school level and the peewee levels of the areas around them, right?
Yeah.
What's now to stop any power program that wants to do this from turning a specific JUCO into their JV squad and then essentially parking a guy at JUCO for as long as they want to, 3 years, 4 years? Because, I mean, if 1 year can be written off, why can't 4 years be written off?
Well, I can tell you this. That's happening. That's already happening. I know of a instance right now where it's happening with a player, and I'm not going to go into details, but a player.
Go into details.
I can't. I can't go into details on high school stuff. A player that played locally here in the upstate that is playing in a JUCO school right now because it's a feeder system to a Division I program.
Interesting.
So it's here, man. It's happening.
So what's to stop? For example, you remember watching Last Chance U, East Mississippi Community College in Scuba, Mississippi. What's to stop EMCC from becoming the JV program to Ole Miss or to Mississippi State?
Yeah.
And to say, hey, whatever offense you're running at Ole Miss, we're going to run a version of it down here. We're going to let you park athletes here, fresh out of high school, the ones that you think might be pretty good, but you're not quite ready to put them on your roster and play them. Park them here for a couple of years. We'll just, write off their playing time here as doesn't count towards your NCAA eligibility. And then we'll send them up to you in Oxford or Starkville with 4 years of eligibility left. What's to stop that from happening?
Again, the short answer is absolutely nothing. And, I think what's fascinating about that conversation, and Diesel, it is already happening, and is this is where my mind goes. How does this new landscape of college football change that, right? With NIL and the portal, because it's impacted Division I that we're watching, right? And has had a huge impact on the game. But I just wonder what impact it'll have on, you called the JV, a feeder system, because ultimately kids are still going to go to school where they think they can get paid. But I think this is an interesting question. for maybe a coach, and a coach probably couldn't answer it, Diesel, but how does a school, let's take, for example, throw Florida State out there, right? If Florida State likes a player, they like him, he likes them. Let's say that player doesn't have the grades.
Sure.
They send him to JUCO. How does that player communicate? Excuse me, back. How does the school communicate with the player on payment, NIL, and what they're potentially promised in the future?
Yeah.
While the player's at a JUCO school, not getting paid. We know that, right?
And
most likely. How does that happen?
The way it works right now, theoretically, is that they are two separate institutions, right? EMCC is over there doing its thing, and Ole Miss is over there doing their thing. And I'm just using that as an example because I remember it from Last Chance U.
Yeah.
Y'all are two separate entities, and you are not tied at the hip. What happens if they do tie at the hip and say, hey, EMCC, now you're our JUCO, you're going to run our offense, and when we're ready, we'll pull guys up.
So blueprint almost.
Yeah. So what's to now stop any one of those JUCO players from saying, hey, well, if I'm effectively on the Ole Miss roster, but I'm down here in Scuba, why don't I get the same piece of revenue sharing that a guy that's playing at Ole Miss gets?
Well,
and then if they say, well, but you're playing at you're JUCO, you only get 10% or you get nothing. Then they sue and say, hey, I'm down here playing games, I'm putting my health at risk, I'm working out, I'm doing all the things that I need to do to get on your roster because that's what you asked me to do because you put me here. I deserve a full share of that revenue share.
And I say?
And that then potentially doubles the revenue share liability for a power conference team.
And I say to that, welcome to the college football that you all wanted.
Yeah.
That's what you all wanted, and that's what you're all getting. Yeah, I mean, no, here's the deal. Those are probably conversations that are probably already happening.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't know the deets.
Yeah.
But I find it fascinating on how a player does communicate it legally or illegally with that team. If let's say they're not even enrolled yet at that JUCO, like if they're recruiting me and they say, look, dude, you just don't have the grades. Okay, well, is it legal to talk to that school about, I mean, you can't, a collective, like, let's say, for example, Garnet, maybe this is a question for somebody, a representative of a collective, because the collective can't pay a kid another school, right? So you can't have Garnet Trust paying a kid at JUCO school in Alabama. I don't think you can, right?
Consider the idea. What if South Carolina thinks they have the next Lenora Sellers, a quarterback, but his grades aren't there?
Yeah.
Couldn't they park him, for example, at Spartanburg Community College? I assume they don't even have football. It's a very different structure. Yeah. But let's just pretend for a second that Spartanburg Community College plays JUCO football. So he said, hey, we think you're really talented. You're a 5-star prospect, but you're kind of a dummy. So we're going to park you at Spartanburg Community College until you get your grades up, and then we can bring you to South Carolina, whether that's 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. Here's what's scary about this, Cole. You think about this. You got an 18-year-old kid coming out of high school who, for whatever reason, is going JUCO. He could play 4 years of JUCO. Now he's 22. He could then play 4 years of power college football because those 4 years of JUCO don't count. Now he's 26. Add in red shirts, whether it's the developmental red shirts or it's the medical red shirts. Now you're talking about 28, 29, possibly even 30-year-olds playing college football. And it's not inconceivable. The only thing that's stopping a kid from sticking around with a school that long, and some of them will do it because that might be their only prospect of getting paid, is that either they want to play right now at a Division I school, or they want to go off to the NFL. That's the only thing stopping them.
I think it's what do they say, a slippery slope? I think that's what. And again, we're having the conversation. We don't know. Diesel, I would imagine, I don't know this, I would imagine that that this conversation we're having has already happened a million times in terms of how a kid, stays committed to a Division I Power 4 program while they're, getting their grades right at the juke. I don't know. I'll tell you this. I know it's not. I know it. There's no way it's not already happening. There's just no possible way. And I think it's fascinating.
Generally speaking, I am against the idea of college coaches going into politics. Tommy Tuberville, is he a senator or is he a representative? I can't remember which.
Yes, one of those.
But either way, I mean, they're using their fame and celebrity status in their states to go get elected, and that's fine. Maybe they're competent politicians, maybe they're not. I don't know. But that's the only reason now why I'm saying maybe I kind of want more coaches in politics, because thus far, politicians across the country have not really shown the political will to want to give the NCAA antitrust status. And that's the only way any of this can be rectified. You can have any kind of enforceable rules is if you get government sanctioned antitrust exemption, and then you can create your rules and you can enforce your rules, because otherwise, anytime something seems unfair to the kid, they're just going to sue and they're going to win.
Yeah, I think it was Bruce Pearl, who just retired this week, who was very vocal about possibly getting into some kind of political role, and he now has come out and said that he's not going to pursue that. So I think you're going to see it more and more. I really do. Diesel, speaking of high school athletes, we posted these on our website at thefanupstate.com, but just so they can hear their voice be read over the air, North-South is one of the bigger all-star games in the area. Selections yesterday for the North-South all-star game. Which players in the upstate were selected? We'll tell you next. Well, high school football fans, you probably saw yesterday that the North-South game that's every single year in Myrtle Beach, the rosters were released for that game, and a lot of you probably that are listening have friends or relatives or maybe even your child made the roster, and if so, congratulations to you and him. North-South, one of the All-Star Games, Diesel right there with the Shrine Bowl. There's the big debate nowadays is which one's better, the Shrine Bowl or the North-South. North-South's at Myrtle Beach, a little more fun. Shrine Bowl, obviously, ties to the Shriner Hospital, and, you know, it has the rooted tradition between North Carolina and South Carolina. That's the debate right now in high school sports, by the way.
That's interesting. How obviously the Shrine Bowl came first.
They did, yep.
And the North-South game is how old? Been around 20 years?
I don't know exactly, but it's starting to become a really attractive all-star game. You know what I mean?
So if you're an athlete, can you play in both?
No. One or the other.
So, okay. So if you're an athlete, which one do you want to be invited to?
Well, Shrine Bowl used to have that prestige. I mean, and don't get me wrong, it still does. It still does. I don't want to make it sound like it doesn't anymore because, again, the mission behind the All-Star or the Shrine Bowl is being involved with the Shriners Hospital. That's awesome. I mean, and then North-South, look, it's a lot of the cooperatives around support it, and it's great. I mean, they do a lot of great things as well. I think regardless if you're in one of the two nowadays, you feel accomplished in a way. You know what I mean?
I'd imagine there's a lot of scouts at those.
A lot of scouts, a lot of fun. I was at North-South last year in Myrtle Beach. I hadn't decided if I'm going this year or not, but it is a lot of fun. So for those that were recognized, look, congratulations to you. And I will read off the ones from the upstate that were selected for the North-South game. Starting right here in Greenville, Diesel, Christchurch, Ant Atkins. He was selected. Clinton's Javen Cook. Woodruff's Corey Moats. Let's see here. Boiling Springs, Grayson Crow was selected to the North-South All-Star game. Gaffney's Zion Ratchford. Blue Ridge. How about that, John Boggs? You got Gavin Forrester in. By the way, John Boggs, the Blue Ridge coach, Diesel, is the head coach for the North-South game this year. So a little correlation there. From Spartanburg, quarterback Trey Burke was selected to the North-South game this season. From Belton Honeypath, Jakari Anderson selected. Another Clinton Red Devil, Chris Boyd, selected. Christian Foster selected to the North-South game from Emerald High School. Amari Nance from T.L. Hanna. I've seen him already once this year. Really good player. From Broome High School, Asher Littlejohn was selected. From Greenwood, Demarion Roman. Dorman's Zay Meadows was selected to the North-South roster. Let's see, Woodruff's Trevon Lee, another Woodruff Wolverine. They're really good this year, by the way. Woodmont's Adrian Estridge was selected. A.J. Calhoun from Westside. Let's see, Brock Franklin of Lawrence. Chris Coleman of Northwestern. Matthew Hillstock of Easley. Braylon Blanton of Chesney. Jaden Great of Boiling Springs. And let's see here, Kamari Turner of Chapman, Brendan Carson of Spartanburg, and Kylan Dixon of Belton Honeypath. Those are the players that were selected from right here in the upstate. Obviously, the North and the South will go at it. So if you don't know, for those out there who may be new to the area, Shrine Bowl is North Carolina versus South Carolina. North-South Diesel is only South Carolina, the northern part of the state versus the southern part of the state. So
sense.
You've got two All-Star games. One's North Carolina versus South Carolina. And North Carolina every year, I mean, that Shrine Bowl stuff, because there's dudes from North Carolina, man, North Carolina's won that thing a lot more than South Carolina has, to my knowledge, recently.
It's a bigger state. You know, you get a little more options to choose from.
Good football talent, man. Underrated, I think, as well.
So in these two games, are they designed to just showcase the best players regardless of what class they're in?
Seniors.
Or are they seniors only?
Seniors. Yep. Seniors only. So obviously you work toward it, right? You work toward your entire high school career wanting to be a Shrine Bowl. And when I was coming up through high school, I don't remember the North-South All-Star game being in existence yet. Maybe it was, and I just don't remember. But the Shrine Bowl has always been looked at as, if you're a Shrine Bowler, man, you get to do all the things, Diesel, with the the kids at the hospital throughout the course of the week. You're practicing. Used to be at Wofford College at Gibbs Stadium, and now it's at Spartanburg High School. It's just a lot. It means a lot to be selected to one of those 2 All-Star games.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way to introduce these kids, and I'm sure most of them have already at that point, but to introduce them to service projects and show them just how important it is to be a part of those sorts of things. Help me out another time. Is it a rule like every player selected will spend some time on the field? Because if there's scouts there, you don't want to just have a starting 11 on offense and a starting 11 on defense and play them the majority of the game.
Good question. It is. It's what I hate most about All-Star games. What do I mean? Most coaches' D's will rotate. We'll go 2 and 2. Like, for example, you've got 2 quarterbacks from the north, 2 from the south. So they'll rotate 2 drives, 2 drives, 2 drives, 2 drives. Now, from a fan perspective, it's tough because you're like last year, Lincoln Husky of Boiling Springs was the quarterback for the North team. He was the best quarterback on the roster. No offense to the other kid. He'd come out and, the offense would sputter a little bit. So from a fan perspective, it might be frustrating because while they do want to win, they've got to get every player close to equal reps.
It's a showcase. I mean, you want to put these guys out there. You don't want somebody to get selected to this thing and then barely get to see the field.
I know you don't, but at the same time, you hate it when you're a coach and you've got a lead, and then you put old Johnny in. Old Johnny doesn't do good, throws an interception.
Well, he should be good because he was selected to the game.
He should be. But again, congratulations to all those in the upstate who were selected toward North-South. The Shrine Bowl selections are going to be announced this Saturday at some point, probably Saturday morning. So I don't know if we'll have them in time for the scramble or not, but if so, we will announce them on the Saturday Scramble as well.
It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. More upset picks coming in. We'll check in with those in the next segment, Cole. And a mystery that has been plaguing sports fans, especially fight fans, over the past couple of months finally has an answer. And it has to do with that viral ring girl from the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight. And this is juicy stuff. We'll get into it next. Last hour, Cole, Mike Main, not Mike Main. Mike Main got his upset pick in, but last hour, John Dog texted in and said, if you leave my team, good riddance. And what we were talking about is if your starting quarterback transfers away to another school, is it okay for you to root for that player or now kind of quasi root for that school now that a player you like is over there? The answer is always no. No, you left us, you're dead to me. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong there. I feel the same way you feel. I wouldn't necessarily – I guess it's kind of like, do you like that food or do you not like that food? I guess I look at it, Diesel, as kind of personal preference. I don't have an issue with another fan doing it, with another fan, pulling for old Joey and they're too good this weekend. But that's not me, dog. That's not me. I'm not – when you leave – like we talked about earlier, man, like you made it. Same thing with, you see this like going up to a high school, a kid quits the team, right? And then a few days later, a week later, kids, I'll come back. No, you quit the team. You're gone. And that's kind of the same mindset I have.
And again, Rudy quit the team and he came back.
Yeah,
and
but
he played.
The only reason he came back is because it was for a movie. They knew that it was going to be made into a movie one day, and they told Rudy that, look, if you don't come back, there's never going to be a movie made about you.
It's true.
So that's why.
The reason I got confused is Mike Main texted in and says, give me the Panthers plus 5.5 over the Pats. Well, Mike, our challenge is a college upset picks challenge, not a pro.
Was he joking?
I think he was joking.
Okay.
He says, sorry, that was a joke. It was poorly executed.
It's funny, though.
Though most of the time the Carolina Panthers do play like a slack Division
I want to
team.
know, all kidding aside on this upset picks challenge, and we see a lot of them still coming in at 844 fan phone, what is the spread and how many selections do we have of the bye week over Clemson? I want to know. I want to know.
We have had more than a few. There's probably been,
have there been
5 or 6 solos.
Do they count? Let them count. Can they please count? Please let them count.
It's a -1, but go for it.
I mean, if you want to, I just think the bye week has a legit shot. You look at the way Clemson's been playing, man. They hadn't been playing good, and the bye week's undefeated, by the way.
So
they've never lost.
We need you Tolos to answer this question because this is a biggie, and there's a reason why I'm asking you this question. I'll tell you that in a second. Is it ever okay to conceal, lie about, deny, or denounce your fandom to get a date? Like you don't cheer for a player that goes off to another team.
Yeah.
But could you tamp down your Clemson fandom if the girl that you asked out is a really hot South Carolina fan?
Yeah, you could. You definitely
okay.
could. Because here's why. Well, let me say this. I guess it depends on how hardcore of a fan you are, right?
True.
If you like, I'm not going to. There are those people in the world, by the way, that'll say I'm not going to do it for anybody.
I did consider at one point, and we have a Tolo who is an app developer. If only I'd known you, Tolo. No. If only I'd known you years prior to this, I was thinking about putting together a dating app where you could select which fans of which sports you wanted to date, fans of which sports you didn't want to date, fans of which teams or conferences. Like if
they should just put it as a preference.
If you're a South Carolina fan and you say, I don't want to date any SEC fans.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, I'll date ACC fans. I'll date Sunbelt fans, but I won't date other SEC fans. Or if you were a college fan, you say, I don't really want to date NFL fans or vice versa. Or I only want to date college or NFL fans, however that may be. But the reason I asked that question, and Tolos, tell us, 844-326-3663.
Yeah.
Is it ever okay to conceal, lie about, deny, or denounce your fandom to get a date? The reason I ask you that question, and this is a bombshell, if you haven't heard, do y'all remember the viral ring girl from the Tyson-Paul fight? Her name was Sydney Thomas. And you can understand why.
Let me tell you this.
You can understand why she was the viral ring girl.
This is where my TV kept getting stuck. You remember when they had the glitch?
Yeah. If you're watching the stream, you see what makes Sydney Thomas so special.
her teeth.
Exactly. Well, Sydney, when she first went viral, she gained over 300,000 new Twitter followers in a night because she was on that fight as a ring girl, and then all of a sudden everybody finds out who she is, and bam, she's everywhere all over the internet. Well, she revealed at the time, Cole, somebody asked her, like, who's the wildest, craziest person that got into your DMs to try to hit on you?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, she's an Alabama student. She's a 21-year-old Alabama student. And she has just recently revealed on a Netflix show that the SEC coach that got into her DMs was none other than Lane Kiffin, head coach of Ole Miss.
Of course. Who else? What other SEC coach would it have been? Who's the only SEC coach?
Here's the problem. She went to Alabama. He was the head coach at Ole Miss. He DM'd her Roll Tide. So he is, in essence, denying his Ole Miss employment. I know that he worked at Alabama.
Yeah.
And coaches don't think about things the same way we do.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a fandom, it's an employer.
I don't know.
But he is the sitting head coach of Ole Miss. If you're gonna text her hotty toddy. What are you doing, Lane?
I think that might have been just a little icebreaker, Diesel.
I get it, but like, that's denying the school that you work for.
It doesn't matter, though. That's the thing. It doesn't matter.
So Lane Kiffin got into this Alabama student's DMs and said, Roll Tide. And I don't know if anything else was said, but the way she describes it in this Netflix documentary is that he hit on her. So I don't know if just DMing Roll Tide is hitting on her, because, I mean, why else would you DM somebody who just went viral for looking like she does, other than to hit on her?
Yeah.
Because you don't just say, hey, I like Alabama too, Roll Tide.
Right.
You hope that she sees that and says, ooh, maybe she sees me as a dateable individual. Now, Lane, certainly free to do whatever he wants to do, right? There's an age gap. He's 51, she's 21.
Well, Bill Belichick did it.
Right. Well, he would have done it before Bill Belichick did it.
True.
But here's the problem. Lane was apparently reconciling with his ex-wife at the time that this happened. I mean, he was married. They split up like 20 years ago almost. And then they're trying to reconcile, and he's DMing 21-year-old co-eds at Alabama. Come on.
Well, you know, the thing about it is I am not surprised by this. I do know that Lane Kiffin's, I mean, we all know Lane Kiffin. I mean, you don't have to say the word.
I mean,
right?
This is Bobby Petrino 2.0, right? He was on a motorcycle with a co-ed.
But if there was going to be one SEC coach that was going to do it, I like this text. Jacob in Spartanburg gets in on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line. He says, I met my wife the day before the Clemson-Carolina game 3 years ago and proceeded to rub it in her face when Carolina won. She still married me.
How about that?
The right one will stay, says Jacob in Spartanburg. Another texter from the
right one says, ooh, this person is just as hyped about football. This is going to be a fun person to spend time with.
554 says, hell no, in answer to your question about is it okay? The reality of it is, to bring it back to your original question, like, yes, fandom matters. Everybody knows fandom matters. I understand that different people, Diesel, are different levels of fans, like in terms of their heart. Like I have friends that spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a year with IPTAY and Clemson and the tickets and the tailgating and the parking. Let me tell you something. That's not me. I don't care what they do. I don't judge them, how they spend. I'm not going to pocket. I don't care how they spend their money. I spend thousands of dollars feeding deer that I'm going to shoot in a few months. Like, you can make fun of me too. I'm just saying.
That's called baiting the hook.
That's right. I love football. I love sports as much as anybody. Ultimately, though, are we really going to act like that a pretty woman, what was her name?
Sydney,
it doesn't matter more than getting a date with somebody.
That's true.
It doesn't.
I mean, he could marry her and he can have kids, and she can be younger than his kids in his first marriage.
Especially if she has money.
Well, I'm sure she does now. She's on a Netflix show. She was a ring girl. By the way, she was, very happy to be a ring girl for this fight. What was the quote? She says, this is the funniest thing. She said, I woke up to an overwhelming amount of love and support from all of you. This is after she was the ring girl.
Yeah.
I can't thank you guys enough or begin to express how grateful I am. I love you all. Thank you for your kind words.
And, Diesel, not one person that sent her a kind word and even knows what a ring girl does,
right?
What their job or purpose is.
Hold a piece of paper and smile.
Is that what they do? They hold what's the paper have on it? I don't even know.
I don't even know. What paper? I'm not even know if they all know.
You see a paper?
I don't know if they can read it. That's cruel. That's cruel. They certainly learn their numbers. She also said getting the opportunity to step into the ring with Mike Tyson and Jake Paul for such a historic fight is something I never imagined I'd be able to say. Words can't describe this moment or how grateful I am to be part of such an amazing team at Most Valuable Promotions. History was made, and I'm truly honored to have been a part of it.
She probably didn't know who Mike Tyson was before the fight. But, look, she's got some really great teeth.
Yeah.
Let's let her be the ring girl, right?
She's got some great what?
Teeth. They're white. She uses the whitening strips. That's why she was the ring girl. Yeah. Real quick side note: Pete Thamel just reported. I don't know if this is like new news for Army tonight. Army's Dwayne Coleman will start at quarterback tonight at East Carolina. For any of you who thought about putting a little cheddar on the game tonight, Dwayne Coleman Diesel began the season as the starter for Army, but got injured against Tarleton State, but he is back in the saddle tonight. So Army going with Dwayne Coleman tonight at quarterback. That just popped up on my phone. I figured I'd read. Is that important? Is Army to have a chance tonight? I don't know what happened to Army, but they're 1-2.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's funny, though.
The fighting Jeff Munkin's up there at Army. He is, by the way, Jeff Munkin, really good coach at Georgia Southern, went off to Army. He looks like an Army guy, even though I don't think he personally served in the military. He is
the high and tight,
very much so, and he has said that he loves the on campus, on base, like commissary lifestyle. And he's like, I'm never leaving as Army head coach. They're gonna have to run me out of here.
Yeah, these Jeff's cousins, not brothers, but cousins, I think, with Todd, the offensive coordinator of Baltimore, who used to be at Georgia with Kirby Smart. I'm pretty sure they're cousins. Jeff and Todd. I don't think they're brothers. I could be wrong. Maybe they aren't brothers, but I think they're somewhere down the family tree.
844 fan phone. Percy texts in and says, I can't find the upset pick results. Percy at the Fan Upstate on Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, I'll help you out. I'll do you one better, Percy. I will pin the tweet on Twitter. That's a good little
There you
tool.
go.
Let me do that.
Just
give us 1 second.
While we're at it, we're going to see where Percy is on the upset picks standings.
All right,
give us
Percy,
just a moment. We'll
if you go
it.
to the very top of the Twitter, X, whatever it is.
Twitter.
Yeah. If you go to the very top of the page at the Fan Upstate, it is now pinned to the top.
That's like me saying the Facebook.
I know the book. It's now at the very, very top. So it was 2 days ago, but obviously we have a lot of new content on there since then. But it is at the very top. You can find. Is Percy on the board?
I'm looking for Percy. Is Percy on the? Percy has 22
Oh,
points.
Wow. That's impressive.
And he is in 21st.
Is he a left-sider?
He is.
Oh, wow.
He is column 1, Cole.
Oh, wow.
Column 1.
That's even bigger.
And hey, that's where you want to be, right? If you can, that's where you want to be at the end of this season, is column 1.
Let me ask you this. I was wondering about this earlier, but I didn't get a chance to ask you. Dan B, before we run to a break, Dan's like the mastermind behind this upset picks thing. He's fantastic. He does a lot of the legwork. He's awesome. Tolo. I don't know if Dan B's still watching or not. I hope he's not. Is Dan B on the board?
Dan B.
Is Dan B not hit this season? I know I'm putting you on this.
I think.
Oh, he just answered it. That's quick fingers right there.
He's with me.
I am shocked because Dan, I really, Dan, look, I'm not talking junk because I only hit once. I'm surprised to.
But Just Jess is. Here's the thing.
Oh, yes.
Jess is beating him. Dan's
Yes.
better half has points, and Dan does not.
He says it took me 9 weeks last year to get on board. Did it really? I didn't realize that. 9 weeks last year to get on?
Hey, it took Lane Kiffin 9 messages to get Sidney Thomas to respond.
Ooh, that's called doing a little too much, right?
Hey, you shoot your shot. You
Shoot
never
your shot.
know, right?
That's
what if she's like, oh my God, Lane Kiffin, multi-millionaire head football coach. Sure, I'll date you.
Does that surprise? I mean, what are we doing here? Oh my gosh. I'll tell you what we are doing. It is time, Diesel, to talk to the man himself. Who am I talking about? Kaye Hendrix. He's the head football coach of the Furman Paladins. Furman was off last week, right? On that bye week. And boy, you've had a bye week to prepare. Conference play is here. Diesel and I will talk to Kaye Hendrix as we do every Thursday at this very time next, right here on the Fan Upstate.
All right, Tolos, that's going to do it for us on the stream. We appreciate you hanging out with us for the show. Obviously, Coach Hendrix, he had to call in a little bit earlier today, so this interview is going to be pre-recorded and played back. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut the stream there. Keep listening. Obviously, if you want to hear this interview, it's going to be on the fanupstate.com, on the Odyssey app, over the air, 97.7 or 97.1, depending on where you are. The Tolos, I am off for now a week and a day, so I will see you not next Monday, but the following Monday after that. Of course, I will get my upset pick in. Don't worry about that, Dan. So, Tolos, I will see you in, what is that, 9 days?
Long time.
8 days? 30 days? Don't know. Have a good one.